order. If everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I am going to take things out of order. We have Lakes and Ponds Committee appointment discussion. And Dennis, you can.
I thank you through the chair.
Yep.
I managed to do some research with some help from my assistant. I won't say that I got it all researched, but I had a brief conversation with council as well, and here's the gist of it. So the Lakes and Ponds Committee was created by the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen is the parent committee. They were created and their rules are created by you. So if you wish to make any changes to them, which you recently did, I understand, where the committee asked if you could go from 5 members to 7 members. Did I get that right, sir? Thank you. And the Board of Selectmen allowed it. Furthermore, it's my understanding that most likely, after speaking to a couple of members, the Board of Selectmen is probably going to get another request asking in the future if they could add this type of situation to it, being a non-resident, but working through the school system specifically for this discipline, if they could join and be a voting member. So based on that, I believe you have the right to put that individual on the board.
Okay. So, is there, I know you spoke very strongly and very favorably about this individual. Do you have any further comments?
I don't. I think it's fine.
I think it's
allowed.
okay with me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to be allowed. He's very well respected. And do I hear a motion? And it would be to appoint Killian Scott to the Lakes, Ponds and Streams Committee.
I move that we appoint Killian Scott to the Lakes, Ponds and Streams Committee.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tell him we look forward to him serving and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a sign of the next generation getting involved in politics.
Hoping being here tomorrow, get supplies for the next round of testing, so I don't get.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Glad we did it early.
Well, there was no sense in enjoying it. So now we are in a joint meeting with Finance and Capital. I do not think Capital has a quorum. Finance, do you have a quorum? Do you need to call yourselves to order? Everybody's here.
Yeah, we have a forum, we have Sean's on the screen.
Good, because I can't see that far.
Are we in a position of the opinion that you're going to talk about the non-financial items?
We are. I'm kind of half following it, but I didn't know if you, technically, I didn't know if you need to call your meeting to order or not.
We can. It's going to be an honor at 6:04.
Works for me. Thank you. Okay, so Kenny is going to join us about 7 for all the financial items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip over the finances. But we do have a few other ones. So the first one I believe would be number 5. Petition
Actually,
Sure.
number 1, prior year bills,
prior year bills.
those have to be paid.
So that's not an option to, well, I didn't know if it was money, so I didn't know if I should skip it or not.
It should be.
What do you think, Dennis?
Sure, we can take it.
All right.
So through the chair, thank you very much. This is very simple. Each year, we end up with some unpaid bills through one reason or another, unfortunately, that make it too far past July 1, that the state allows us to pay them out of the current operating budget or utilize the prior operating budget, and it requires town meeting vote to authorize. In this particular case, we had a joint meeting at one of our previous selectmen meetings, and we discussed this with our finance director, who recommended that we take this out of available funds from the current budget. So that is going to be my recommendation when the finance director and I are still looking for that exact fund that we look to transfer, but it will come out of the current operating budget. It's not a great deal of money. You're looking at fire service bills for several locations, PD, fire department, town hall, and a missed bill for some materials for the Council on Aging
Okay,
Senior Center
okay.
of $180. Total is just over $3,000. I don't think that'll be a problem coming out of the current operating budget.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Flaherty.
do you,
Absolutely.
just pay it.
That has to be authorized by town meeting.
Oh, nine cents, all right, okay.
All right, everybody, go ahead, Steve.
Go like the police, giving it off of the police.
Yeah, we're gonna, Kenny and I are gonna try to find it in logical places where it belongs out of the current operating budget. It would be very simple. We've done it this way in the past.
Yeah, okay, watching like, if you populate those bills to us.
I think they're in the package.
Oh, yeah, 457, no.
You had 2 whole hours. What's wrong with you? That was a joke.
One of the hours, taking minutes, so.
I'm sorry. I was being sarcastic. Would you, Paul, they're right here. Would you like a copy?
I offered to one earlier.
It's okay. I said, all right, so if we skip all of the finances, I will, does anybody else need a packet? We have
One
one
left.
left. Only gone. All right, so I believe if I skip over any other funding issues, we're on Article 4, Acceptance of General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 5, Clause 22J, the HERO Act.
So this is something that the board had previously discussed, I think, in the length, if I understand correctly. The board had a presentation from Valerie at one point.
Yes.
I apologize, I didn't include in your packet until later this afternoon. I just became
Easy.
aware that there was a presentation that could have been added to it. But I was under the impression that this was already fully vetted by the board.
Yep, yes, you are correct. So, everybody's good with, going,
Yes, and are we trying to like keep track as we go with which ones we're okay with or not okay with?
On it,
I am checking things off on my
Like at some
list.
point, we're gonna have to make a motion to approve the warrant, so I want to make sure we.
Right, I'm doing a check for the ones and then I'll hand you this. So I'm not making the motion. Okay, so next would be Article 5, Petition General Court for the Fire Chief Retirement Age Exemption.
so this is the petition for special legislation. As you know, state law requires that all fire chiefs have to retire by the age of 65 unless they are one of the communities that reaches out for special legislation allowing the fire chief to perform his duties as such past that date. And that is exactly what this does. The language is pretty self-explanatory within that.
Does anybody have any questions, comments?
No, we had already talked about all this with Chief Bradley and Chief Marshall.
Okay, everybody's good with Article 5? Okay, sipping right along. Article 6, Acquisition of Spoke v. Milford. Where do we stand with that?
So, our attorney and myself have reached out to the attorney of the owners and basically made it known that we have received the appraisals. They are aware of the appraisals and how much they. And there were some subsequent questions that were going to be coming our way from the clients that was anticipated by their attorney. But we haven't heard that. This just happened last week. So I'm expecting any day now correspondence in regards to that. In the meantime, I would recommend the board keep this.
Put it on here and then we can pass over.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Right, did that, would you agree with that, Maureen?
Yeah.
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 Just so we have it.
okay, so that's acceptable. Article 7, Police Portable Radios.
I will take this one. The police chief
Okay.
could not be here tonight. So I'd be happy to go quite a bit of backup, including a memo from the chief, basically requesting the radios. He did point out some key items to me that I want to bring to the board's attention. I get to them. There's a quote included Bear with me.
Say it all the times. These were only scrolling furiously through 37 pages, not
Well, there's a few
180.
more contents in this one, which is extremely helpful. I'm not sure. I think I clicked.
Yeah.
Click,
Where'd you click?
I clicked.
Oh, there you go. I call it. It's on this thing. Like,
Thing here?
It's towards the end, Dennis.
here.
Do you want the memorandum?
Yeah. that's
Okay.
what I was looking- No, I was looking for his email to me.
Oh, I don't have the actual.
Specific
Fancy
focus that I
computer, I don't,
ran.
oh,
Get everyone's attention.
'Cause I'm in Adobe, so I don't know.
Back.
I'm trying to edit it. Maybe it's one.
Okay.
Maybe it's one else.
Display page 100%.
Sorry.
Oh, just towards the end. I'll just scroll furiously.
I had never been able to find it before. This was the first time. Oh,
Cool.
I don't know if someone has.
Is this on the, Allcom?
So
Is it
they
all-
wanted to bring to the.
I see it.
attention that the radios they currently are utilizing are quite old and they're becoming more and more difficult. And there is a plan over the next 20 years of replacing out these radios.
Okay.
The 5 portables are going to be instrumental in transitioning that plan, so he keeps everything up and active as he's having others either repaired or scrapped because they can't go further.
Okay. Makes sense. Have any questions, comments?
That coming from free cash?
Yes, that's the recommendation of the finance director. And myself.
Anyone have any issues? Are we good to accept that one?
I'm good.
Okay.
That's good.
Yep.
The upgrades, talking about upgrading still using these same portable radios.
Yeah, it's the same through the chair.
Yes,
It's-
please.
It's the same narrow banding, so, I know what you're talking about, though, some of the radios, this is that long ago.
Pay for upgrading for him, the spring, we're
Yeah,
gonna do it, so we're not gonna use them on the spot.
Right,
Sure.
my sense was, and just saying the same thing you're saying, I think maybe a little different way, is that these 5 are part of that upgrading all the radios over the next 20 years plan.
yeah, that's,
Is that,
And technology has changed, so they all keep talking to each other, whatever.
We're still able to use it, do the same things.
he also has a couple locations that he doesn't currently have enough portable radios for. I think the school resource officer was one of them, he made mention of a couple others, so he's looking to kill a couple birds with one stone.
Okay. Do you think we should tackle Article 8, repair of the trail bridge? Or do you think we should wait for Kenny?
I think you could do that now.
Okay.
See Mr. Panko from the audience.
Okay, repair of the trail bridge. $22,000 from available CPC funds.
Yes, it's at the Howard One Conservation Area, in the St. Carol Bridge, that was built by Boy Scouts in 2010, it's actually, it's perfectly flooded, and it's deteriorated to the point that we don't feel safe horses to walk on this boardwalk. It's about 95 feet long. The boardwalk also doesn't have any, the railings, and the portion of the boardwalk, the drop is 6 feet. Which is dangerous, not the ground. What we're proposing to do is hire someone to install fiberglass reinforced panels over the existing ducting, and then over the panels, we'll put a geotextile, and over the geotextile, some pea gravel. And that will be a durable, long-lasting surface, and it won't be slippery. The other problem with the pressure treated wood is that it's slippery for horses, even people.
Yeah, true.
We've done this before at Boardwalk, December of this year, actually. And I've proved that we've, the other thing is that Concom has voted to put in 5,000, so the actual ask is 17. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
who put in the 5?
conservation.
Oh.
And we're also gonna ask, just basically state riders. They'd be able
Okay.
to.
that'd be nice. Go ahead, did somebody,
Okay.
yes,
Mr. Vernon, I heard, that presentation to the CPC, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Is there any documentation as to where these numbers are coming from. That's what we would like to see.
Yes, we have, part of the application package that, we submitted to the CPC, includes a quote from the vendor.
Do you have anything saying that conservation is going to contribute 5,000, I think is the question. Am I correct?
That's probably.
Okay. Okay. And is there any way to get an ask from the Bay State Trail Riders? Is there any way to get that? That'd be great if we could present it before town meeting, a letter or something. Okay, that'd be great. Yes.
CPC things here that.
Yeah.
I don't, you know. I believe that a couple of them at least are noteworthy, they're valuable requests. But we don't see any documentation, you know, we don't just take the number, we need to see it.
Okay, what are you suggesting they prepare for you, Mr. Flaherty? This is your wheelhouse.
I didn't hear
What specifically would you like CPC to prepare for you? Mm-hmm.
I'd just like to see where this material is coming from. We've had this discussion in numerous years with the money coming from CPC.
This isn't,
Show us the documentation.
guys, hold on, look, yeah, this isn't confusing. They just want the presentation and the quote, that's all. Fine.
Sure. Part of the Lakeshore Community Company submitted an application to the CPC.
Okay.
That application included a description of work, a bunch of photographs, and the quote
Okay.
that we received from the vendor, whose name is Bob Hatch. So I think, again, not sure, but I think that application should be on the CPC webpage. If you're not,
If it's not,
is it on there?
I'll look, but if it's not, it'll be on that.
Okay. And that has the quote. And then,
I'm not saying it doesn't, I'm just saying we'd like to have, we need this documentation.
Yeah, we're gonna get it for you.
All right, so what Mr. Flaherty needs is all of CPC's documentation, just a copy of it sent to finance. Right, Mr. Byrne, am I on track? Beautiful. See, that was easy. That was a long way around. Yes, please.
we have stewardship, building fund, maybe there. I don't quote me on that, I think that has added its funds in it. I'm not sure what we decide. The other possibility is the actual conservation fund with added its funds in that. One of those.
Lynn?
Through the chair?
Yes.
Do we apply for, mass trails and all trails for some of these, purchases? I'm just curious.
We have, applied for trails grants for, actually, we received one, this was probably 15 years ago or so. It was for, some trail work at Stephens. Yes, that was Stephens. We also applied last few years ago for, the trail bridge at, the Robinson Conservation Area, and we applied twice and then did not get the grant. And the, looking at the types of, projects that did get awards, they're almost always, have some accessible components.
Yeah, they do,
You
yeah.
know, a strict hiker trail that doesn't have any accessibility is Scotia Valley. That was the Robertson, because the Robertson trails are too steep, to be made accessible. Exactly.
Okay.
And this project, you know, possibly you could have applied for that, but, you know, we just decided to just let it ourselves.
Thank you. Appreciate the information. Thank you.
Is everybody good with Number 8, repair the trail bridge. Any more
Yep.
questions, comments?
Nope.
Okay. Article 9, zoning bylaw amendment, section 300, 3.1, table of principal uses. Microbrewery. Michael, I assume that's going to be you.
Director of Land Use and Inspection Services. Evening.
Good evening.
So in your material, you have a fairly lengthy letter describing
Mhm.
how this came to be and what it is. So the entirety of the proposed zoning changes are captured within that zoning, that warrant article. So relatively minor changes in terms of the language that's being changed. As you can see, the sections that are being changed are the use table as well as the definitions, and that is to introduce the new principal use and definition for microbrewery. The reason why this is being brought up now is because I had a local business owner just across the street reach out to me just to indicate, we're very fortunate that we have business owners like this that reach out to me in order to forecast their needs. So that's a great thing to have indicated to me, hey, we're looking to maybe grow our business in not the very near term, but soon. If we were to expand, first of all, they can't do it on the land that they have over there currently. It's not big enough. So they, with the desire to stay in town, where else can we locate what we do, specifically brewing? And when I say specifically brewing, I mean only brewing. And so doing what I do, looking into where things are allowed in town, found out that it's really not allowed in town except for within the CNI district, and even then it's permitted under light manufacturing. In my letter, give you a definition of how the town describes light manufacturing. And so that's the closest approximate use to define brewing. So, not specifically for their benefit, obviously, because this is a zoning article, that's going to be for anyone and everyone to take advantage of it. Anyone who would be looking to move into town in order to establish that use, or if it's an existing business owner to expand their use, can't really do it because in the CNI district is not connected to sewer and water. These uses, my understanding and the research that I've done and who I've spoken with, they're going to need either sewer or water in order to conduct that use. So the CNI district is largely unavailable to them. And even that's a special permit for that use, which doesn't completely inadequately define that use. So I recognize this, I'll call it a problem or just the oversight within the bylaw. Again, I don't know if it's an oversight or if it's intentional but either way, brought it to the EDC, said, what say you? Is this something you want to recommend to the planning board to investigate and putting in a zoning article? They agreed that it's something that they want to look in. They want the planning board to look into as far as recommending language. I brought it to the planning board, said, do you agree? They agreed to then put together an article. And then with my help, Lauren's help in my office, did the research. We compared definitions and use categories through towns in Massachusetts, both neighboring and not so neighboring, but just to get a sense of the various different definitions and how different towns define breweries, how they define microbreweries, how they define all sorts of definitions that are available. What the planning board ended up landing on is what is described in that article, which is microbreweries. And that was an intentional decision to go with microbreweries rather than breweries at large, because they can be controlled as far as volume. So we can, gear that towards a smaller, I'll say smaller operation, but they're limited into the volume that they can produce annually. So you can have local-ish brewers and folks like that take advantage of that, but you're not going to get, the Anheuser-Busch out of Merrimack, New Hampshire to locate within Upton, right? So the scale is more desirable. You're not wanting a large scale facility in town. That wants to be contemplated later, it can be contemplated later. But the definition, as you can see, is limited to microbreweries. I also tied that language to the state's language because in CMR, I forget what it is, but the regulations that the state has, that I believe the ABCC enforces, there's additional regulations and restrictions within that language that more clearly defines microbreweries on their side. And I felt it was important to provide that reference so that you don't have a situation where a microbrewery is acting in a way locally that might comply with your local guidelines, but it's acting in a way that is outside the regulations or the purview of the ABCC. And in that, the ABCC regulates alcohol by volume, which also would prohibit, in this definition, distilleries. So this definition is intended to capture for microbreweries and microbreweries only, in that you'll see that it lists out wineries and cideries, right? But what is not included is distilleries, spirits. That's a whole different use category. We're not contemplating that at this time. The planning board will be, I should make note that within the article, it'd be allowed by special permit everywhere except for the residential zones.
Does the brewery and the pub or restaurant or other allowed primary use need to be like in one place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you. The problem is, again, so a proposed brew pub could potentially locate within the general business district under a special permit. But the brewing portion of it would have to be, would have to be accessory to it technically, right? It's in support of the pub or the restaurant or whatever is the allowed primary use. The brewing component is the use that's not otherwise allowed, but is allowed in order to be an accessory use as a sign. So again, this seeks to identify brewing under the guise of microbreweries as being its own separate and distinct use within, again, the GB, CNI, and UCBD districts. So and those would all be under special permit, not allowed by rights. So it'd have to go through review through the zoning board to get the special permit, and then anything, it would also trigger site plan review through planning board and anything.
Okay.
So I've spoken for a while on that. Are there any questions? I mean, my letter goes on and it's a bit more detailed.
I read everything. The only comment I would have is in the warrant article itself. We need to move the parentheses on the second, in the warrant, it's on page 4. And put it after the word gallons, because it says a barrel being equivalent to 31 gallons. I assume that's where the parentheses ends, not after per year. So I was just doing some proofreading, so. But that was a big one. So, yeah. You don't want to stick somebody with just brewing 31 gallons per year.
It'd be tough to make money.
It would be.
Or
And this is-
or really
this is
easy to make
truly-
really little money.
If it's even profitable. This is very much a draft warrant. I understand it. You all know my issues. Okay, does anybody have any more questions, comments?
No, good presentation.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Byrne.
How big the building have to be to have 15,000 barrels?
Do we know what Rushford's produces in the space they're in per year?
Yeah, I have that information somewhere. Because I did reach out specifically to Brian over there to get a sense of what that would be in comparison to what he does.
What do they do here?
Yeah.
100 barrels or
Um,
8,000 barrels?
See if I can find it quickly.
And they probably, they say barrels, right? But it's mostly cases.
Well, and a barrel is 31 gallons.
I guess.
Yeah.
barrels.
Right, but what is that? What is,
15,000 of them would fulfill town hall.
How tempting.
right, yeah, but you spread that out throughout a year, right? Like,
What is the capacity?
oh, the capacity of 15,000.
Yes.
Not more than 15,000
Yeah.
barrels per year.
I mean, yeah,
That's regulated through the ABCC. Yeah.
I'm just.
No, yeah, no, and you're right, but
Yeah,
it'd
no,
be
thank you. I
interesting
can
to
look
see.
into, is that through the track, and look into getting a sense of scale.
right.
Yeah.
I'm trying
And
to.
it-
Probably,
And is it a capacity of 15,000 barrels a year of production, right? So that,
Yeah.
it's not, you're not producing that
Oh.
and storing it all at once, right? There's some inventory you're holding and you're.
Can you change the wording?
well, some of this exercise too is these questions are gonna come up on town hall floor. And we're
Yeah.
trying to get the answers tonight before somebody in the audience stands up and says, well, what does 15,000 barrels look like? Where does it go? How big is this plant going to be? It's a great question. Exactly. Yeah, because it doesn't, that's not a very big section. Exactly.
Because everybody will be like, that just gives it a sense of, right? Like,
He says he caps out at about 10,000 currently.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so 50% bigger than what he's
Yeah.
doing now in that shoebox.
But I'll get let's see if I can get a more specific answer to that question.
Okay, so are we all good with that article?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. Fire station vehicle bay drainage repair, shall we take that one?
Sure. So this was on, this was letting go at last year's town meeting, it got pulled. Because there wasn't enough time to pull all the information together. There was enough time this year. And the engineers are estimating with a contingency of a cost of $289,000 to replace the inside drain in the building in the apparatus floor. For those who don't know, so this is a large concrete floor where all of the fire trucks and ambulances and everything is kept. This allows the trucks to drain and be washed, and it goes to a tight tank. The tight tank outside and the apparatus and the infrastructure, outside is still in good shape. But the
Drain.
drain itself was rusted out and it's no longer in place and it's no longer usable or correctable the way it is. So this, and to make matters a little more complicated, that is a radiant heat floor. So it has tubing in it. So it's a little bit trickier than just cutting the floor out where you think it should be cut out. Requires a little bit of foresight and investigation. But that is the estimate from the engineers. Free cash, get the recommendation from your finance director.
Questions, comments?
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I agree.
Last year.
Are you okay with that one?
I'm good.
All right, so if we're okay with that one, Article 10? Sure. Yes,
It's rotted out, it's gotta be pulled out, and you wouldn't use the same materials today that they used then. It's a different, you know what I mean? Everything changes over time, it's supposed to last longer, be more environmentally safe. All that kind of stuff.
Which is 4-inch, right?
It's not, I believe it's either a 4 or 6, it's not larger than that.
What's it breaking down? Just black iron?
No, I don't think it is. I think it's, I think section of it's galvan. And then I don't know what the grates themselves, I think are just, I think those are probably cast.
yes.
Question to the chair and to Dennis. Since this is in the fire department and your trucks are going to be going out into areas where there can be toxic materials, you're going to have antifreeze, et cetera, coming off those trucks, diesel fuel, gasoline. Do we have separators to clean that stuff up before it goes into our sewer system, I assume?
So one of the things, no, it goes into a pipe. It actually doesn't go. And we actually had all of that apparatus looked at by the engineers before we put this article together to ensure that everything else was up to code and was up to snuff, and it all is. Everything meets code. We have an oil water separator on site. It works perfectly well. So everything else is good. All of the work is inside the building.
Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, moving on to, any more?
Maybe.
Okay. Article 11, cemetery restoration, First Cemetery.
You could have somebody from the cemetery commission here speak to that, perhaps?
Mr. Paldini, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, if I may,
Absolutely.
thank you. I just had a couple of things that I'd like to say,
Mr. Chair, I'm so sorry. Is First Cemetery, is that the one, that's the one that's represented by the Historical Commission?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
like, I'm with the cemetery.
No, he's, Cemetery Commission is for Article 12.
Okay. So this is, false alarm, you're up next. Do we have anyone from historical here or, Mike, can you take it or Mike Penko? Either one, either Mike.
Commission to present to CPC a month or two ago, a lot of information about what we do, and it had some quotes that back up at least some of the costs that associated with the work.
I'm trying to bring up their, what they submitted.
And the warrant article is see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $125,000 or any other amount from available CPC funds to restore First Cemetery. Is CPC good with that?
The hearings are closed for most of the articles at the town hall roof. But we did not vote, hearings were closed October 1st, but we didn't vote, schedule a special meeting, and I'd like to vote on all of them.
Okay, but we have to vote the warrant tonight, am I correct?
You do.
Wait a minute, Mr. Flaherty?
CPC, when Ed Phillips made the presentation, it basically, high level, there's some trees down there that are causing problems, and some of the old stones are in extremely poor repair, not broken. And I think, Mike, if he's somebody that fixes these old stones, Mike, is that part of Mike, do I recall that, Mike?
Yes.
And basically that's what it is. Phillips had a excellent presentation, I thought, and again, I understand the story, but I don't see any numbers, so the finance committee's gonna be looking.
They didn't present them at the meeting that you were at? Mr. Phillips didn't present them at the meeting you were at?
That was a CPC issue, it was not a finance committee issue.
I thought you were at the meeting.
We were just there to hear what they were saying.
Yeah, through the chair, I have what was submitted from the Historical Commission, their narrative on the restoration, so. And just kind of go through all their, everything they plan to accomplish with that money is removal, and they have a plan that they submitted that was done by Garrier and Hellman, that mapped out the entire cemetery, identified the different trees and located all the headstones and footstones. They plan on removing approximately 16 pines that are encroaching on graves, filling holes and ruts to improve the safety and increase maintainability, repairing 4 to 6 headstones. It says some stones are broken with clean edges that may be repairable. So it sounds like there's, until they get in there to look into actually evaluate, like start doing the work, they don't know,
Sure.
maybe they'll be able to repair it needs information. It says replace completely 14 to 16 headstones. This quantity will be determined after step 3 has been completed that are too badly damaged to be saved with equivalently carved replacement stones. Replace 9 footstones, and then planting 4 to 8 flowering trees, I assume replacing the pines that they're taking out to some degree. Installation of signs, signage near the entrance, and using digital maps surrounded by photos of the 22 Revolutionary Soldiers headstones. 8, installation of granite or other appropriate material to mark the approximate location of the first meeting house as shown on the digital map and the signage board.
Are the quotes included in there?
Yeah, and the
numbers?
so I have the numbers.
Right, so for each one of these things, the estimate has.
Exactly, and then they all
So
total it's 125.
Okay, so can we get that submitted formally to the board and to the finance committee so that we have it on the record? And as a general rule, I mean, we say this every year and we have to hold ourselves accountable to. We have the same conversation. If there's going to be an article on the warrant that's asking for money, we need to have the supporting documentation.
Exactly.
So I would ask the town manager. And I will ask the incoming town manager as well to remind us that we need to have this information. You shouldn't be inventing it the night of the meeting.
Exactly. And I mean, granted, there's extenuating circumstances, but, you know, as CPC agrees, you know, puts things forth and says, we really need to know if CPC has the money and if they're willing to fund these things definitively, because tonight, this is it. You know, the warrant goes forward. I know you're meeting tomorrow, but you've put us in a very awkward position by waiting till tomorrow night to vote because the warrant closes tonight. This is it. Mr. Byrne? No.
You had a choice, you could have voted on first, but the meeting had already, I think it was around 1:30, and that was getting really late.
And you get punchy. We understand that.
We understand.
And sometimes you don't want to vote that late.
The information that is on the CBC website,
Yes.
and we'll get that backup information posted as soon as possible.
Okay. Goodness. I mean, but it appears that, you know, what do you, can you, a general consensus, do you think it's going to fly?
Stuff. And this one, there were no objections raised by any CBC.
Okay.
That's
Okay,
what I was gonna say, just having that sense, right? Because I feel like if it's the CPC's job to administer their funds and make sure that things are prioritized and they've got money to pay for things that they're making commitments to pay for, and that they're letting us know if they've got any deficits or any issues with anything we're proposing or bringing up. So I personally am fine with leaving this on the warrant the same way we are with some of the other ones, to say, hey, if we need to pass over it at town meeting, we'll pass over at a town meeting or special town meeting. Let's put it on there. Let's let the CPC vote on it. And if they come back and support it, great. If they don't, then we'll pull it.
Okay.
It's an option.
Mr. Byrne? Yeah. Yes.
I was very well supported by Mr. Wilson. But Mr. Benko has now mentioned is that the town hall, 3.4 million came to them. They didn't know about us today, but opened up a public hearing. So they knew they were gonna have to go out, whatever it was, 2 weeks. So that's why when it started to get late, they kind of said we have to meet.
Anyhow.
This isn't something that they were thinking.
Okay. No, just,
They were trying to do everything. It's like, well, we have to meet.
and we do realize that you know, it's a big ask for town hall and it did kind of blindside us. You know, I agree. And there's, like I said, there's extenuating circumstances, but this was some of the reason for having that multi-board meeting. Like, let's try to all stay on the same page so that we're not doing our own thing. But in the grand scheme of things, when the new manager comes in, you know, we're working more cohesively. And none of it's intentional. I get that. But I also know you do get a little punchy and you really don't want to take a vote at 9:30 because God knows what happens. I mean, I'm bad enough regularly. Okay, thanks. So is everybody okay with Article 11, cemetery restoration for First Cemetery?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Article 12, Mr. Palladini, now you're up. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Michael.
Yeah, that's a good catch.
Lakewood, Maplewood, and Pine Grove. If it's easier, you can come to the table, you can stay there, whatever works for you.
Law firm.
You know,
Well, I'll just stay.
okay.
Alfred Palladini, 6 Brook Street, Cemetery Commission Chair. I just want to clarify, someone at the, last public hearing, meeting with the CPCA and the community preservation and all that. Somebody got up and claimed that, we had all kinds of money in the plans and all of this. And in conjunction with the project that we were going for up to $400,000, that we could be using, this money, this additional money that we supposedly have. And I believe the number was like $70,000. I'm not sure, but, okay. So anyway, I just wanted, we originally thought that, fund, we could supplement the request going through perpetual, care fund. But, in Upton, as in elsewhere in the state, perpetual care funds are primarily intended for the maintenance of the general cemetery grounds, lawns, pathway, signage, and common areas, and not for the upkeep of individual gravesites and stones unless specifically designated. And with that, the perpetual care funds cannot be used for repair of broken headstones or foundations and that kind of thing. So that's why we ended up requesting the fund from the CPC originally. So I just wanted to clarify that, doesn't every, whoever thinks that we're sitting on it. I mean, I know what the numbers are, and I can say, yeah, we've got $5,000 here, 36,000 here. Bill Taylor, and I has written a request to the financial accountant, finance accountant, requesting information on the funds that we actually did have available for this project. I haven't, that's been like, I haven't heard that back from that. Yeah, but I just did want to mention that, and maybe not that, I'm sorry if this isn't the forum to say that.
No,
I just wanted to mention that. And also in the original draft memorandum of September 3rd from the CPC, it said in collaboration with the Cemetery Commission and potential participation of a nonprofit group in foundation improvements and headstone cleaning would reduce the overall cost to the town. I was wondering if that is still a contention, only because when we start soliciting proposals to the various vendors who will be doing this, we need to be able to include whether these, stone cleaning is added in there or not. So I don't know if what?
I'm trying to follow you.
Okay.
This one of the slow, I'm sorry for the chair.
No, I'm a little lost too, please, Mr. Westgate.
What is the question?
What's the question?
What's the question? Whether what's included in what?
The stone cleaning, the cleaning of the headstones,
Yeah.
if that is actually included in this proposal, because with in the town.
What proposal are you referring to?
We don't, Mr. Paldini, we're lost because none of us know what proposal you're discussing. Right now, we're doing Article 12 cemetery restoration.
I've got a memo that talks about restoration in the article language.
but just like the other articles, we don't have any quotes for it.
But this one also, to me, is a little different in that it's a $200,000 to $400,000 range. So that's a very wide range.
Yeah,
And a much bigger number than 22,000 or.
Right.
1,000.
What you have for quotes to back up the 200 to 400,000? What'd you get for pricing? What did you get for pricing?
We haven't gotten the pricing yet. We actually based that on a form study that we did a couple of years back. And that was only for the back lot of Lakeview which entailed about 40 stones that needed to be, restored in place. Have new rods inserted, have new foundation, and that kind of thing. And I think that back section of Lakeview is down by the field house down there.
Wait a minute, Mr. Paldini. Mr. Flaherty might be able to clarify because we're all a little lost, I believe.
A little bit.
Yes, please.
Cemetery Commission did not appear in a CPC hearing on this, am I correct?
That is correct.
So therefore, we're done with this.
Can I just respond to your question?
Yeah.
With a little more information. Mr. Fowler, a couple of meetings previously, had appeared and provided a description of the work. Although we were never provided any proposals back on the process. But the CPC has to have that concern.
And at your public hearing on this subject, the Cemetery Commission did not appear.
That is correct.
So I,
I,
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Mr. Simons has a, wait a minute, Mr. Paldini. Mr. Simons?
yeah, so I think that people in town will enthusiastically support this when we have the information ready. So let's just get a couple of estimates
Well-
and be able to, I'm not saying for October, I'm saying for
For May?
For
Okay,
May.
to May?
kick it to May. Let's give people time to get the information, unless people want to scramble and try to get all the information in the next couple of weeks. I don't know. It's not up to me, but I feel like with the other ones, it's like we have a bead on the quotes and we have the estimates. We just didn't gather it in time. This one feels like it's in the wind. Like the information isn't out there.
And Mr. Penko, correct me if I'm wrong, CPC had some concerns because it does seem to be in the wind.
Yeah.
So that's not, I mean,
Okay.
it's not hard to get those estimates.
That's easy. So Mr. Paldini, unless I'm mistaken, I think, right now we're deciding what's going to go on the November 4th warrant. And it looks like this article may not be ready because we don't have the quotes. CPC has concerns. We don't know the funding and the article, the warrant closes tonight. So, Maureen, Brett, feelings on passing over this or placing it on
The only
the
other
warrant?
want to just
Well,
check
that's the
in,
125.
Dennis, from your perspective, it's like,
That's the
are you
hundred
missing something?
I don't have a
No,
problem with that.
I want to hear Kenny and see what funds are available that the cemetery commission could utilize right now with their own authority. And it probably will change that number if it's not that. You know what I'm saying?
You may be able to get
So
somewhere.
we might be able to get somewhere tonight when Kenny shows up. Okay.
There is a memorandum to the Board of Selectmen and Dennis Westgate from Community Preservation Committee supporting. I am respectfully requesting a maximum of 400,000 in funding from the year's special town meeting for restoration.
My guess is that that's a typo. That that's actually not a memo from the Community Preservation Committee.
For the chair.
Yes, please.
That was, when the warrant closed, was September 5th.
That's correct.
Basically, our best estimate at the time, before we had any hearings or anything like that.
Oh,
We
okay.
wanted to get something in.
Yeah.
So this is your version of a placeholder. Then you had your public hearings, at which time nobody appeared with supporting documentation, which is why we're all a little confused. Am I correct? Sure.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you. That's-
But right now, you have issues because it's such a wide span.
I
Okay.
I don't have a problem kicking it forward to May after they can get some proposals.
Yeah, does that make sense? Do you understand why we're doing that? Pushing this to the May town meeting to give the cemetery commission time to get quotes and estimates from people to actually do the work, so that we have a number as opposed to just a rough estimate of $200,000 to $400,000.
That's possible, but we need to know that the funding is gonna be available before we start soliciting for vendors, because we can't say in a proposal, we would like, we would like you to do 200 stones, 250 stones that need various stages of repair.
Yeah.
And not have a number of that we can go on.
I think the town, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Just shop about 200,000, and we can't.
The town manager will be able to help, the town manager can help you and the DPW director can help you work with vendors to get quotes to do work. It's
I mean,
something that they do all the time. If
I
they
was
don't-
gonna say,
if
we
they
do
can't
it
give you
all the
quotes for
time.
work, then
Yeah,
it's.
you don't
you're in
need
a
to do
chicken and
that,
egg
Mr.
situation.
Caldini.
So-
We can, and Dennis, do you suggest we skip this now, or do you think Ken would have some insight and say there may be X amount of funds or any harm in pushing it to May?
I think that there's two things here, Madam Chair. One is that I think that we need to get more updated quotes. And before we solicit that we have a better understanding from Kenny, what is available for funding that the commission can use under their own authority that's going to reduce their ask. Because if Kenny says there's a couple $100,000 that they could utilize now for stone repair,
Right,
Oh, in the
you can get working,
they could,
you could start sooner.
okay. Mr. Flaherty?
But I add to that. Might want to look into whether or not this is within the purview of the cemetery commissioners. Because in the act that created the Department of Public Works, my recollection is the duties of the cemetery commissioners is limited to managing a perpetual care account and taking care of sale of lots and graves. We recently took the issue of maintenance in the cemetery and brought it totally under control. My good friend up here sitting at the end of the table, Mr. Westgate. So I'm not so sure that, I'm not convinced that what this is being proposed now is even within the scope of the charge of the duties of the cemetery commissioners.
All the more reason to take the time to get the information
Right.
clarified.
Right,
And so are we in agreement that we'll push Article 12 to May?
yes.
Okay.
It's still there, right?
So, all right, I'm gonna skip the athletic field project, or do you think, Dennis, opinion, do we need Kenny's?
Let's see, you see.
It's CPC,
I think they may have voted on that. Did you vote? Oh, you know, that's what we are.
Although we did back in May or April. In principle, the CPC voted to support $100,000 a year for, to help defray the costs of the field project.
okay,
So this article is just basically memorializing that
okay,
decision. I could add that Carefree Mendon has already voted $100,000. The first $100,000 for this.
okay,
But like that,
yes,
that vote excludes specifically the turf field.
Correct. The statute, Community Preservation Act statute prohibits use of CPA funds for the turf.
okay. All right, so we're good with moving that one forward?
Yep.
Ooh, brings us
It's
to
a big
14, that's a biggie.
Mhm.
All right, hey, look at that, 7:00. Is Kenny on yet?
Say, we're doing our part.
Yeah,
And yeah,
okay, well, since we have a few minutes to kill, do I hear any public input? Board member updates? No? Don't all jump at once.
Has this come before the CPA also?
Which one?
The town
Town
hall
hall?
roof?
that's tomorrow.
But
Vote on it.
we've had a public hearing on that.
That's tomorrow night.
That's
The
fine.
public hearing is
Okay.
tomorrow night?
So then I presumably they'll go through that and then go through the full slate of like, okay, now we have all the requests. Let's figure out if these all work. Is Kenny gonna be there?
Mike,
Keep
and-
parents,
and-
Like, help you figure out.
Just,
Can we
there's
get the
definitely
minutes?
enough money in all of these accounts if you decide to vote yes. Okay.
Could we get the minutes to those meetings so that we can go through them
Do you want-
for the votes?
did you-
I can't hear, I'm sorry. So I can't hear anyone because everyone's talking. I'm sorry. Somebody, I don't know who was talking, but everybody was, and I was a little lost. Yes,
Funds, yes, I mean, if,
Okay.
if all of these articles, even the cemetery one, have been approved. There are no funds in the CPA, there's accounts to help with those.
Okay.
We've had, there isn't. Give action to it, but I did do a spreadsheet. And provide it to CPC. And then it says that.
I have,
we may have, did we see that in our workshop?
There's like, if everything.
Yeah, I think
I'll just have.
Think so.
If there are adequate funds, some, the historic preservation capital.
I thought I had seen that, but the older I get, the less I trust my memory.
That is the.
Stop snickering.
I'm sympathizing.
Oh, yeah. All right.
That would be a borrowing, right? For the CPC funds, just like the town hall.
I don't know, can you speak louder?
Would that be a borrowing as though, yeah, with the town hall, like the town hall?
And that was assumed to be borrowed, yes, and town council provided estimated yearly payment. And that's not included in the spreadsheet, but 250,000 a year or
I'm
something.
gonna forward this spreadsheet to you all.
I thought I remembered seeing it. I just,
Yeah, because we asked that pretty early on, like, are we just
yeah.
totally over a barrel here? Because I think it was in the context of Holy Angels, we were talking about that, like, between this.
Well,
and that,
because,
Can you,
you
what
know-
can you use for what and can't you use for what and.
Yeah, because between Holy Angels and the town hall, that's 7 million. Ouch. Okay, Dennis, do you think there's anything else we can move forward before Mr. Frosty gets here?
Probably one moment.
Great.
I think we get into 14.
Okay.
Embarrassed.
Get used to it.
That's why I have a touch screen.
Have to bring mine.
I'll grow my mouse.
This doesn't, this 3 million doesn't include the repointing, right?
Yes.
It doesn't.
It's
Okay. That needs to be made clear.
We have, but this one, not as many articles as usual, but boy, are we going
Punching above their weight.
for the Narrows.
He must be hot.
Yeah. I'm getting hot, so he must be
I am
baking.
just right.
I know.
You just right?
Good.
I feel
Happy to.
3 bears up there.
Yeah,
I'd rather sweat than freeze.
yeah, I'm with you. I like, I had to be on one side of the equation all,
Oh, yeah.
all day.
Me too.
It's not a facility that it's, we get to deal on.
Hey, Paul, maybe when we redo the roof, we can just put a hole
Put
and
it home.
do a hatch, open it up, let the cool air in.
You think about it, it would feel really good if you
Is that a
with
shot?
all these. Oh, I bet you could.
That is our UFO microphone, which apparently does diddly.
Doesn't work, right, Chris?
It works. It's just not sensitive.
I can't believe anything that big is not sensitive enough, but this thing puts it to shame.
So. So,
Yep.
through the chair,
Yes, please.
as a reminder, last winter, we had a particularly unusual storm that came in from the west side, which it doesn't usually, and blew up against the side of the building and caused some water intrusion into the building. And we subsequently filed an insurance claim.
Yes.
The insurance company brought in some specialists to take a look at what was going on with the building. And they discovered that we had some issues that we really needed to resolve by bringing in some experts. So they did their repairs on the inside, but they said the outside is what your catalyst is. This is the things that you need to address. You certainly have some issues with your roof and your gutter line. You have some repointing and water work that needs to be done around the bricks. And a lot of your glazing on your windows is going. So we had an article that went forward last town meeting for $35,000 to have a complete investigation done of the building. Weston and Sampson was contracted. They came in and began their work, and we're gonna go through some of the pictures. So this is some of the water intrusion that they captured as they went through the building. This is downstairs
I can't.
in the back
Can, Maureen, if you
left-hand corner.
scoot towards me, can you see?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Slippery over here. See, I do really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go to the next picture. Now, there are literally over 100 pictures, but I'm only gonna grab a few of them. This is water intrusion that's coming in directly through the concrete, right through the sill. And you can see where it's bubbling up the paint and it's pulling the salt through. So this is not necessarily a product of repointing the brickwork or the roof. This is the foundation as an issue,
Right.
which you'll see in the engineer's estimates. They speak to this specifically. Next one. This is just a roof intrusions. Next one. Let me get to some of them. So what you see here is the salt coming through the brick. This is a telltale sign that you have moisture on the inside of that brick between the wall, the brick wall and mortar and your wood structure. That is a bad sign. It's like seeing a tree with a mushroom growing on it. You know you have rot inside. This indicates that we have moisture inside that is captured, not getting out, that needs to be addressed.
If we have moisture, do we have the potential for mold? Did they look into that?
Well, it's gotta come.
Go ahead.
Exactly.
Switch, please. Tried to get them to stick to just the main thing. So when we get to the roof was done in 2000, so it is a 25-year-old roof. And it was designed to be 25 years old. So it has managed to live its life expectancy. What you're looking at is the lead and tin flashing that's going up. Lead and tin flashing is designed so that it is pliable, so that you can fold it over itself and keep it seamless and go up the facade so that you don't allow any water intrusion. The contractor did not do that here. Those are individual cuts. So those all have seams. They're not supposed to have seams. Picture.
You can leave this bubble gum behind.
Yeah.
You can see some more of the separation around the flashing.
So those are just put there?
Like this. So they go underneath, they go on top of the stone ice shield,
Yeah.
and then they go up the brickwork. And
Right.
they're designed to keep when ice builds up and dams from any water.
I get that, I'm saying.
It's
They
supposed to
left
be
the seam
seamless.
there? They have a seam there?
Yes,
Like.
They
at
cut
the cut?
pieces instead of a roll.
that should be folded on itself, not cut into individual slices.
When you let a roof, it's supposed to be
Seamless.
seamless, yeah. You have a start, you have an end, and everything else is,
Huh.
that's why they sell it in rolls. To
And if-
unroll it and bend it.
Can you blow that up at all? If you look at the wood framing above that, you can actually see where it's starting to rot,
Yeah.
the wood itself.
Yeah,
Next picture, please.
that's insane.
And this is
Yeah, well,
indicated about many locations around the building. So we had all these areas that they're pointing out are places where we definitely have water intrusion coming in for various reasons that created an issue. as we get close to, I want to get the foundation. Here we can see the seam going up the brick. Now, here's the good news. The wall has not bowed at all, so there's no movement. It's just separation. So that is a repointing solution, and then sealing the brick at the top. Oddly enough, when this building was renovated, we cannot locate any documents that suggest that the brick and the mortar were sealed. Next one. There's the foundation, and there's probably your catalyst for some of the moisture that you see coming through the basement walls down below. So this is a combination of getting your ground landscaping to pitch away from the building, and two, making your building so it doesn't have such porous areas that water can just simply go right in. Next one, please. We have some sills I want to show and some windows, so you can really get a true picture of it. Go to the next one. That one's not going to be anything. So if you look around the windows, blow that up, Chris, would you please? You can see some of the damage going on that they're referring to. There you go. So a lot of the glazing has separated. There's water intrusion has created some deficiencies in the wood itself that needs to be addressed. This is throughout areas of the building, the entire building. Next one. That is the wall that had that's the wall, that's the west facing wall. Yes, that is the wall that had the majority of the infiltration of water.
Guys, sorry not to, how long will this project take? Like a lot of work, a lot of scaffolding.
It's a lot of scaffolding. The roof, couldn't pretend and know. They're suggesting that your $725,000 roof, which consists of stripping it down bare, removing any rotted wood and replacing it. And that includes the eaves and any other locations and trim work, putting your stone ice shield up, reinstalling a new architectural asphalt roof, 30-year, I believe, is what they recommended.
Can they put a 50 on it?
I could ask them. Sure.
I'd like to see the difference between 30 and 50.
Yeah, I was just curious about the, like, how long the new town hall that we just renovated is gonna be scaffolded. It's probably a year or two.
I don't think that doing the brickwork and scaffolding would be more than probably a month to do all the water work. I had, and I say this because I had my chimney done. I have a pre-approved chimney. And what I thought was gonna take the gentleman the better part of the week, took him the better part of the morning.
Wow.
So it was a little off now.
I remember when my son, for point of reference, when my son was at Milford Catholic, they repointed Sacred Heart, and it was less than a month. It was 3 weeks.
But they're gonna be on a roof.
Yes, yeah, they're gonna be on the for a while.
Associated with that as well.
Right, and I would think that it's not gonna make sense to take it down and put it back up. Once it's up, you're doing everything.
We'll be making accommodations so we can get residents safely in and out of the building while they're doing this work.
Mr. Flaherty?
Dennis, I mean, this intrusion here on that side of the building, talking about a French drain or something like that, yeah.
Came in several locations, from the top to the bottom. It came in along the top vents.
So this intrusion in the foundation of the lower part, are we talking about putting a French drain in there to keep it away?
We're talking about sealing that foundation and then, and probably some kind of drainage that allows us to capture any water that makes it past the, land should be pitched away to begin with, but that's a tough location, because you've got a hill right there.
Right.
In the road right there.
Right, so you're definitely gonna wanna grab anything that's coming at the building and move it down to a place where you can capture it.
With respect to the windows, we're gonna be dealing with any issue with Mass Historical.
We are gonna be doing our permits with Mass Historical, absolutely. Anything we do to the facade of this building requires their stamp of approval. I have to have a registered architect provide them with stamped drawings for all of this, and they have to approve it.
Is it possible that that damage to the base of the building was secondary to a plow? Or is it just corroded or deteriorated? I don't know where, I just don't know where it is.
It's too far, I know what you mean. It's
Like,
far
I
away.
was wondering, because I mean, that's a lot of damage to a foundation.
In my opinion, it's missing a whole bunch of cement.
It looks like someone put a hole in it.
Could that be why the Board of Health floor gets water stains all the time?
Could be. Is that it? This one. We're having so much fun. And there's, so this is actually in really good shape. They didn't have much negative to say about, about
The cupola?
the cupola. That was actually in pretty decent shape. And the chimney itself at the very top appears to have been repointed and mortared.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know about
They
that.
gave up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
Good enough.
So
Close enough. We did the littlest spot we could and
I thought it was important for us to see the picture.
Yes.
Since we all know that this building just had a substantial amount of renovation done to it.
Yes.
Not that long. Right. The roof, however, is 20 years, 25 years old. But still, you know, considering we spent
I see.
$6 million
Yeah.
or so. Can you recall?
Right.
Around there.
Okay.
It's a shame that we're gonna put some money into it this soon, but, some of these things, I think were done incorrectly. That's the roof. That's the opinion I got from the professionals. And some of it just, for some whatever reason, was not considered at the time of the renovation. My opinion, it should. Anytime you have a wood frame structure with brick and mortar on the outside, you should be planning on sealing that every 12 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Steve?
Good.
Wait a minute, Mr. Panko. Steve had his hand up for a while.
This gets approved. When is the work get done? And assuming if not, go into the second question, what do we do, check the building over winter?
So the very next thing that the engineers want to do is they actually have a secondary sub-company that's gonna come in before we invest in putting anything up to bid just yet, to talk, the company comes in and infrareds the whole building. Just take a look at any spots that we can't see, so that it's almost like being able to open the wall without opening the walls. Once they have that done, they'll be ready to put the bid specs together and the shop drawings to go out to bid. It would be a winter bid, late winter bid, early spring award. And then construction estimate, I don't know, I'd have to
I
ask.
think he's asking like remediation between now and then,
Between now and then,
but to get through the winter.
yeah,
We'd be patching something or putting a tarp up or.
I
What are you gonna do to litigate loss?
I think that we'll have to do something with the foundation, and the rest of it is probably. There really isn't much you can do besides the construction. There's not an interim.
Yeah, you
I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's one of those things that we need to get the work done.
Right.
The foundation
If
after
it was our house, that's what we would be asking, like, okay, I know I need to fix the roof leak, but do I need to throw a tarp up there for the winter?
Yeah.
So it's a good question.
Put some ice and water around the base, the whole part there.
the
Sometimes.
foundation. Well, I think that we could water that up enough to get us through the winter and swale it so that the water doesn't stay there. I think that it's the ice dams build up that has done damage over the years. Once the water gets in there, it freezes, it separates. Yeah, that's what the problem
And,
is.
you know, there were a ton of ice dams in 15, and that was only 10 years ago, and
Yeah,
we all remember that winter. Mike, did you have a comment, question?
Use of CPC funds. I think I might ask for an opinion, perhaps from town council.
where we have.
As to if there's any elements of the work that you're doing here, maintenance versus restoration. CPC can't pay for maintenance.
Yes. Yeah, yes, sir. So through the chair,
Yes,
to
please.
answer that. So Kenny and I had a good discussion about that. Quite honestly, I thought some of this had to fall under maintenance. Kenny's pretty certain that all of it's going to be capital requests, and it's going to meet the threshold. We're not going to guess. We sent it to MTC for a response. I'll probably have it any day.
Any other questions, comments? We good with moving forward with Article 14
Yes.
Article 14.
with a roof?
Yes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you can get that.
Okay, is Mr. Costa on yet?
I don't see him.
No, 7:20. Can we reach out to him and see what his ETA is?
See him for? If we have any questions, we can certainly go through these.
Okay, we can go through these, and if we have questions. Okay, so Okay. Looks like we're back to Article 2, funding for Department of Public Works expansion and renovation.
This is one I would like to have, Ken.
Okay,
Simply because through the chair, over the weekend, Kenny and I ran some scenarios. Because everybody asked, the question is, we understand that DPW needs assistance. Like, what does that mean for the average taxpayer, the average home in town? And Kenny spent some time, specifically yesterday, coming up with a couple of different scenarios for the board's consideration. And I would like him to share that with the board.
okay. Then we will skip number 2.
And if I may, to that,
Yes,
in DPW building committee meetings that were had, that has always been. First of all, and we were at this when we were on the common a couple of weeks ago. And Dennis and another gentleman were at the fire station. The predominant question that Steve Kirby and I got over here was, how much is it gonna cost? So
It's talking about 30 million in total, not just the 2.5.
Correct.
all right, so we'll skip that until Mr. Costa is available, and if you can send a text and just see what his ETA is, make sure there's nothing going on that we're not waiting. So then funding for Holy Angels Stabilization Project design. And Dennis, I'll let you send the text, because if you're like me, I can no longer send text, talk, and do anything else. I'm down to like one at a time.
Oh, my.
Brett, you're still young. How many can you
Oh,
do? No? Or I've discovered that I just
I can barely
actually,
do
I
one thing at a
learned,
time effectively these days.
I was gonna say, I have learned that I think I can still do 12 things, and it's come to my attention that doesn't really happen
Yeah.
that way.
I can tell things poorly.
Yeah, exactly, but nothing correctly.
We had a hearty dinner tonight for the kids before this meeting, so
Oh.
that was my win
Oh, hey,
day.
way to go.
That was a success.
That's the day. All right, so who wants to, do you want to do Article 3?
Sure. So Article 3, we've had discussions on Article 3 already. CPC did hear Article 3, but they have not taken action on it. That's tomorrow night, I believe, Mr. Franklin. So they have not taken action on it yet.
If I may interrupt you, do you have a sense of the committee's, CPC's?
Yeah, no, I think there's some members who have expressed, I think it's concerns. Others have been silent and stuff like that.
Oh.
Sure.
I can understand that with the concerns.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a development of 25% design plans. For what? What are we designing? And the zoning has changed twice there. Once, I believe, when John Maloney had it, he went and got a zoning variance for 3 townhouses and an underground garage in the basement. He had gone for a site plan review. And then he found it was too costly to do it. Has this had a site plan review? Do we even know if it's zoned for assembly?
I don't know.
I think that we should be doing our due diligence before we bring it to the people. We really don't have any idea what we're gonna do with this building. I know what they wanna do. But can you still have an assembly there? It hasn't been a place of assembly for 12 years, over 12 years.
And, oh, go ahead. Well, can we have a-
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, we'll have a discussion, yeah.
Open it up. I did totally hear that, right? Like, and if people, I would feel a little disingenuous saying to people, we have no idea what we're doing. We've been talking about this for a year and a half. I know I said this before, so I won't belabor it. We have an organization of people in the community that have created and started a nonprofit organization that's running programs and programming with significant success and passion for the potential opportunity to use Holy Angels Church as a future venue. There's no commitment to doing that, but I think it's a little disingenuous for me to sit here and say, we have no idea what they're planning to do with this building. So that's an option. It doesn't mean it's the only option. It doesn't mean it's the option that we have to do, but that's what the community has talked about. John Maloney tried to update the building and it became cost prohibitive because he had to put in sprinklers, and that was one thing. We totally changed it as part of the downtown redevelopment and revisioning. So it got rezoned and we put it out for an RFP. We put out one RFP, we got feedback. Why didn't people respond? Why didn't get the response we needed? Here's why. We changed the RFP. We did a second RFP a couple of years later, and the same thing, crickets, got nothing back. So it's not as though this is a hugely profitable financial real estate investment opportunity for anybody. So what it comes back to is, do we as a community value the aesthetic that we have in the center of our downtown district, and this sort of historic gem that's sitting there, like these historic gems in so many New England towns that have been preserved and stood up by, some of them by nonprofits, some by private groups that have gotten together, some by or communities, some by other types of nonprofit organizations. So there's different ways to fund saving the building and renovating the building. We've done all the research. We had all the analysis done for what it would cost to make this building usable again. And that's what we have. And we did that. We've been very clear-eyed about that. And we disagree about what to do. And that's fine. And I want to acknowledge that. Like, I'm not saying there's no right or wrong here, right? I believe it's something the community is interested in, preserving, investing, and we've got momentum and we've got people that are looking forward to and moving down this path with anticipation of doing something great for the community. So we have the opportunity to say, we're willing to give people the voice to vote and or not.
But we really have, if I may, we really have to make people understand, we're not producing a finished product. We're sealing the envelope. We're not putting carpet, lights, finishes, walls. We are basically preserving the structure and that's it. And then over it for the 3.2. It's not going to be a finished product. When we're done with it for 3.2, nobody is like, hey, it looks like this room. I'm going to hold an assembly, a meeting.
That's right.
You know, like when one of the first, we've been over, you know, when we need space, we go over
It's
to
an empty
community.
house with
It's an
no
empty
carpet
house,
and, right?
and no plaster, just, right?
No, it's gonna have
But-
plaster.
Does
It's
it?
gonna be like a newly constructed house. It's a newly constructed. empty
Through the
house.
chair,
Furnishing.
I
Yeah,
make a comment.
Because they talk
Okay.
about insulation.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you
Okay.
take the moisture out.
Okay.
But
It's gonna
what
be
is
like
the
walking-
plan? You're looking for a 25% design plan. What are we designing for? None of this $650,000 is going to put the roof on, do any construction work. That's the way that it was presented.
Well, let's clarify that because I think we should make sure that people are clear-eyed about what that $650,000 will be spent on.
Well, it says
So
OPM and owner's project manager, OPM, and the development of a 25% design plan for the repair and stabilization of Holy Angels. We're not putting any money into fixing it. Not now, not until you get the 3.2 million.
yeah, I see Kenny's on. But I wanted to finish this.
Yes, please.
May I?
Yes, please.
So there's a couple of things I think it's important that we discuss. One is, I understand that there's not a full-blown concept of what exactly that building would be 2 years from now if we go forward with this. However, I wouldn't say that we don't have a plan because the 3.2 million basically says you do. It says you have a plan to redo the roof, make sure it meets code.
Yeah.
Fix the sill, put rough plumbing and electrical in it, HVAC, and seal up all the leaks and make it compliant with what it needs to be today, which is a lot of money for ended up with a building that still has a long way to go. It does, but that's the plan that the 3.2 million is. So what do we do with $650,000? We're using that number, we're just throwing it out there. You hire an OPM, which you're only gonna pay a percentage of, because you're only gonna be paying them until July, when you hopefully go after the remainder of the money to finish the project. And then you have a full-blown contract to take them through the rest of it. So the OPM and your engineer are gonna be on board to start putting together the design. And then the design is for the renovation that was suggested in the criterion report, including the new roof, sistering the
Walls, the floors,
Correct.
right.
That's what you're engineering, because that's what you need to fix. So that's, you know what I mean? That's the concept, and then you're hiring the designer to do the design. But there would definitely be work for them to do right off the get-go. And 650,000 is probably more than an OPM and an architect needs for that short time frame between this town meeting approval and July 1st, when the second batch of money would come for construction. I would think they would be able to do something in there, either some remediation or talk about some of the dangerous areas on the outside of the building that need to be taken out of the picture so they can go in and out of it safely. And I'm sure there's gonna be things. Will it be the roof? No, it won't be the roof. They may want to do something in the interim to stop it from leaking. If they think it's that serious of a problem where it's gonna, in a few months before we get construction money, it's gonna hinder them, sure. But that's, in my opinion, what you could do with the money and how it would work.
What about the planning board site plan review? We
I-
know there's no parking. We already know that.
So there is
But in the center district, there's shared parking agreements for all of the businesses that was part of the whole redistricting, was to allow for shared parking capacity.
There's a different agreement for the community center and the VFW though.
Shared parking.
Yeah.
agreement Relates to the community center.
No, the zoning in that there is a shared parking agreement that was part of the community center with the VFW. Totally got it. The zoning allows for the planning board to authorize shared parking across anyone in the Upton downtown district area.
You are correct, but I was, now, one of these over being, so we have a shared parking agreement with the part of the community center.
Oh, no.
Community center.
Yeah,
That parking agreement is specific to
Yeah.
events at the community center.
Right.
totally understood.
Everybody understands.
Yeah, no, when I say shared parking agreement, that does not mean, oh, there's existing parking at the community center, everybody can just put like that, no. It would have to be figured out.
Yeah.
We'd have to say, what are you gonna use it for? Where's the parking gonna come from? Are we gonna get a little bit from here and a little bit from there and a little bit from there? Because at some point, shared parking becomes impossible, just because you say shared parking, like at some point you reach a capacity limit. So planning board's gonna have to figure that out.
And right now they're in the mixed use zoning. That has to be, if you want a meeting place, that has to be changed.
Okay, I see two hands. I see both Steve and Lynn.
Well, a couple of things I see is that, we don't have, we're not gonna be able to put parking, accessible parking in the front of the building. Not gonna be able to do that because of,
We can't say that, absolutely. I've talked to people that said we can do parking.
The Rotary's got,
100 feet in front of within 100 feet in front of the entrance of the building.
I'm just saying, I don't think we can state that absolutely.
No, but in
That's all.
order for you to pay for this project with funds, and Mr. Hanko can correct me, it has to be a public benefit. To be a public benefit, you must be able to access the building. And there is, even if you have shared parking, you would need an architectural access board, variance. And where are we gonna get a variance to? You can't get it to the, and I'm just trying to be practical about this.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get it to, the community center. You've got 86 parking spaces over there, work capacity. There's no parking behind the building. There's no parking behind the Holy Angels. There's so many factors involved. It's so unfortunate that it is where it is. We're not even gonna get shared parking, with the little lot that we have that's there, because we would first have to have own the property on the Thompson block. So we don't have no.
I mean, that's part of it too, is that like, we're not gonna get anything if we don't do anything.
We're not
So whether we want parking or we don't want parking, or we want to renovate the building or we don't want to renovate the building.
Or even
we have
put the
to do
parking, Brett.
Something.
In order.
There's no place to put the parking
Look, if you
downtown.
guys are looking at me, I hear it, you know my opinion, I know your opinion.
It's building code. It's the basic building code.
I-
And area
I'm-
assembly.
We just spent whatever it was, $50,000 to have an organization, their engineers, they didn't look at the parking, right? But they looked at all these other things to assess the viability of the building. The building's been there for a long time. It's part of our history. If we want to preserve it and rally as a community to do something great, I think it's going to be something great. I don't think in 10 years, when that's you've got a working, walkable downtown with an active community and people doing events and going to improv and going to theater and going to shows and enjoying themselves on a Friday and Saturday night. And they're walking around from the community center and the senior center, and everybody's looking around going, wow, this is really gorgeous. I don't think they're gonna, I think they're gonna feel good about the investment that they made. I don't think they're gonna say, gee, we should have let that building, go, or let a developer take it or what have you.
That's the point. We would all like to have that, very much like to have that building restored. But where's the fact, where's the access? We have to know.
We'll make sure there's,
Can we get that?
we make sure there's access. If we spend $650,000 and we've got an OPM and a design and a use, and we say, this is what we're trying to do. We want now, we've done the gross assessment by looking at the building itself, right? Now we're going to do the more specific assessment. We're going to take $650,000. We're going to get a detailed design. You can bet that's going to include parking, accessible parking. It's going to include that, like that has to be part of the design and the plan, to your point, right? We've got to work with the state to say, hey, look, there's a curb cut there now to go to these spots. We're going to need something. Do you need to do something? Can we do something right there? I know they're at 75, going to 90% finalization, but like, we've got to move this stuff along and we've got to figure it out and we've got to get the answers so that we can find solutions to these problems. I get it. I get the skepticism. Believe me, I get it. I don't agree with it, but I understand it.
I just mention one thing, it feels like we're doing this kind of backwards.
Mm.
So the select board hasn't said we are moving forward with that 3.2 million. We have not definitively said that. Yet the CPC is looking to fund $650,000 plus 110 for something that the select board hasn't approved. So this is nothing at the moment, right? We spend $650,000 and that design can come back and say it's $5 billion. And I don't know where that goes. So now we just spent 650 or whatever it is on an OPM, on design and all these other things. And we don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if that can be a public-private partnership for ours, right? We put $3 million into that. I think if the town says we now want to see who's interested, that public-private partnership is now bidding against everybody else.
Yeah.
So
That's the process, because nothing's been confirmed, because,
Right.
and Steve, at one of our meetings, the workshop, we very basically said, people need to understand, this 650 is not just an initial.
there's a misconception that this $3 million is going to become an arts center. That $3 million
I just think there's,
could become a canvas center, could become a strip joint, it could become anything, right? There's nothing stopping someone else from saying, hey, this
there's
thing.
definitely bylaws prohibiting people from doing those things.
You get a site plan review, you go through anything. I'm just saying, there's no scenario. It could be an art center, it could be anything, is my point.
That's right.
So, but that's not. what
It could be anything that we support as a community. It could be anything that the community wants.
The only way,
I don't think so. If it goes out to bid, it can be anything and then it goes through site plan.
Not if we own the building.
It has to go out to bid.
Is a procurement process,
There's-
depending on what the final disposition is going to be. If you're going to maintain the building, then it's yours. You just want to let somebody go in and use it for something, then you have your right to. But if there's going to be an exchange in finances, then procurement laws fall into play.
Yes, they do.
That's a totally different thing, yeah.
Yeah, but
But that's,
I'm just saying, I'm just
Yeah,
pointing
the,
out.
the model that exists, the model that we've talked about is one whereby we renovate the building and we lease it to people.
But it's-
still has to go out to bid.
I understand.
Nothing's been approved. There is not, and
That's my only point.
That's,
Well, of course, always my point. I'm not trying to talk against it. I'm just-
no, and
we've
we've
been
said
doing
this,
for a year and a half.
we've
been
said
doing
this,
for a year and a half.
if I may.
Not new.
And we're not.
No, wait a
any
minute,
further
every-
than
wait a
we were
minute.
then.
Hey, you know, guys, I'm supposed to be in charge. But basically, every time somebody has come forward, I've said it's a great idea, but it is not written in stone. We do not decide what goes in there. Town meeting decides, not us. It is not underneath our purview to say, I like you, you're going in. There's a whole, it's procurement, it's process, it's municipal law. And right now, and the other thing is even if the arts did come in and it was a public-private partnership, you know, we don't know what they're gonna
You could
do, if they have the funding to do it. There's a lot of, you're right, Steve, there's a lot of unknowns.
Through the chair,
Yes,
I've been talking about this public-private partnership. It's not somebody that comes in and puts $25,000 up and is gonna pay the utilities. They have to pay a good chunk of the cost of all the construction to be in a public-private partnership.
Chair,
yes,
with respect to what Mrs. Winnow just said, if the town does this, if the public entity does this, you're looking at prevailing wage.
Yes.
that's.
If a private group does this, you're looking at $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 less, just because it's prevailing wage. So my question is this: has anyone approached this group and said, "Hey, we're willing to work with you for a buck. You fix the building, because you can fix it a whole lot cheaper than we can." But that group still has to jump through the same hoops that Maureen has talked about before. Does it need to go to a site plan review? Is there sufficient parking? Okay, and for me, that's one of the biggest things right here. Where the hell are you gonna park? When Holy Angels was going, you could park on the street and we parked in the parking lots. Oh, let's see, we can't park there now because there's a building there. There's many, many moving parts, and to use Maureen's term, I think the town has to do a little more due diligence before we spend any money. If you want to stop the roof, I say this facetiously. Go to Ocean State and buy a bunch of blue tops and pay somebody to go put them on the roof. Okay, and I say that facetiously. But 600,000, again, we don't know what we're getting.
Steve.
Yeah, so I just want to make it clear, I'm not against this.
Neither am I just,
We have to do a little more understanding of what that, I'm not even gonna say 650, but 770 is what we've come to before, like the 110 or 760. So there is some work to be done there, but what is that work that gets done? And is it reusable? So if we decide not to move forward with the 4 million, the 3 million, then at least the building is
buttoned up.
somewhat buttoned up and we have no more issues. And you can't go in it because it's not fully done, but it's not what it is now where it's falling down. So if you can convince that you guys are gonna stabilize it, I mean, there's nothing there that says that this time, nothing that we've seen that says, here's what's gonna be done because the OPM and the designer takes up a chunk of that money.
Am I correct, Dennis? We can't move forward without the OPM, correct?
No,
Here's
I'm
the,
just saying that.
No.
The whole thing, if the select board was like, hey, we want to put the whole 3.2, we're gonna start with 650 from CBC, that comes across a little differently than
Here's the-
650. And we don't know we're doing it till we get more. Like, it's a big chunk. That's just my opinion.
It's a huge chunk.
And I mean,
the point of all of these kinds of votes is that you slowly ratchet them up over time because you're testing whether or not people are serious about what they're about to invest in, right? And so the conversation is very different. We've had half a dozen votes about preserving this building. And every single one of those votes has passed by a vast majority,
Much cheaper.
with a vast majority of support sitting there. And I understand the dollars were lower, right? But you're still in the 50 to 150 range. We've batted that stuff around in there. We've been putting this off time and time again because this was going to be on the Springtown warrant. And we said, oh, no, we don't have enough information. Let's get all this information. So we got all the information. We made sure we had it, and now we have it. And now we're saying we need more information. So again, I won't belabor it, but I will point out that as a board, we just keep kicking this can down the road. Okay? So at some point, we have to decide, are we going to let people vote on the bigger number? Or are we just going to keep spending $150,000 or $30,000 and actually not doing anything? Because what I want to do is I want to either move on or I want to let it go. And that's sort of where I'm at with it. And I think that the way that we do that is by asking town meeting and saying this is going to be the conversation. It's not going to go great. And we're going to find out from people if they say, you know what, no, you guys don't have enough information. We don't want to do it. We're not approving it. They don't approve it. Great. We go back to the drawing board. But if they say, you know what, we do support it. We do want to do this. We do understand there's open questions. We do understand it's not a silver bullet, but we want to do something with our downtown to bring back and revitalize the downtown and continue the vision that was established by the whole working group of people, including all of the boards and committees, right? This is continued progress. This is movement down that path. We either want to continue down that path or we're going to stop. So if we want people want to stop because they are afraid of asking for information or we're waiting for absolute clarity or perfect information, we're never going to have perfect information. So, you know, good luck to us. We've gone through 2 RFPs. It's been 10 years and the building's sitting there falling apart.
Rick and then Steve.
To the chair, I'm Rick McGuire. I am all for history, saving the building. And I've seen renditions of a building that was in Essex, Connecticut, which looks exactly like that building. People put some effort and money into that building in Essex. And they have a beautiful restaurant park off, and it looks the same as our church here. So it has potential. But when we go forward and we're saying we want 650,000, we're not. When people spend the 650,000, you've committed to the whole 3.2 or 6 million that you're going to have anyway to make this building right. So if we're going to do this, we should change how we're presenting this thing and say, look, to Steve's point, we're thinking this is going to be a 3.2 million project. With 3.5, we have potential here. But we're going to start here. But we can't say, here, we're going to do 650, but we don't know where the end point is.
I would have loved to have asked for $3.2 million, but I don't think anybody was prepared to do that.
Yeah, but if you spend the 650, and to your point, Brett, on all the money that's been spent so far, people are saying, we're already in this thing. You already made the commitment.
People are going to lose their minds because they keep approving progress and no progress is being made.
I can see that.
So Mr. McGuire, you're saying you think we should change the ask from 650 to the full 3.2?
I think you should. I mean, that's what we have for estimates. Unless we're saying.
I think those numbers are good enough. We either want to do it or we don't.
Yeah.
Say it's 7.
I mean, we had a decent estimate, but it's 3.2. And my concern all along has been going to town meeting and saying, we've got $650 and people only hearing that 650 is going to fix it. And then we're coming back in May and saying, by the way,
Right, and I think
plus inflation and tariffs, because 3.2 may not cut it. You know, they have, new building has grinded to a halt as of this week in the tariffs. It just died. Mr. Flaherty.
Still gonna be needed, right? We're just talking off the structure.
no, there's FF&E. Well, it depends what you mean by FF&E. It's plumbing, it's working toilets, it's a brand new house with no parking. That's what you're getting.
But you
There's
still have
working
to-
bathrooms,
you still have
there's
to-
not a
You
kitchen.
still have to furnish it, to design the inside and all that.
Yes.
That's what I said,
Based on
Mr.
what you're gonna-
Flaherty.
Based on what you're gonna use it for.
You know, honestly, I personally, I'd be more comfortable going before November and saying, look,
Yeah.
3.2 for a shell.
We did what
We
you
are creating a shell for 3.2.
Yep.
That may or may not have parking.
That's right.
And
you've
give
got
it to,
Yep.
I have said it all along.
Yep.
I do not think the three of us, there's too many strong feelings. I'm not comfortable making the decision for the town. I'd like the town to make it, but I do think it's deceptive to go in with 650, knowing that the real ask is 3.2.
The real ask is more than that. It's the
Probably.
650 plus the 3.2.
Well-
Now, if you go in for the 3.2, you including the 650 within that 3.2?
Yeah, the 3.2 includes the 650, and I think if we did that, the caveat would be, this is $3.2 million to buy yourselves a new building in the center of town that is accessible and.
It's not
Not
accessible.
not sure, right, 'cause what are the unknowns? The
acceptable.
the unknowns are the parking, right? And,
The accessibility.
right, so the.
Because if you can't park, you can't access it.
Accessibility and parking. And so those are challenges that we'll have to overcome. And so then, and this is
Yeah,
what
but
it is.
if
But
then-
if we go back to town meeting, I'm telling you, if we go to, can you imagine town meeting floor, if we say, we want another $650,000 for more paperwork?
Oh.
We will be shocked. I am not comfortable with that at all. I
No.
am much more comfortable with either $650,000 for what we had originally talked about, which was hair on fire, nobody's going into the building until we do all this remediation. So the first absolute thing anybody's gonna wanna do is the remediation. So I thought we were asking money for remediation to start moving that ball down the project.
But we can't remediate till we get the OPM.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Flaherty.
you're talking about a totally different number. Might I ask, where do you figure the funding is gonna come from? Because if you're saying it's gonna come from CPC, they're only talking about 650,000, they gotta have another hearing, and you can't, and then I don't.
There's no time.
Kenny's here.
Don't need to hear it. Just gonna vote. That's what you're.
Yeah, but their number was 650.
So,
Steve.
here's one thing, so I think Brett and I are almost agreeing on some of this, which is not good.
We'll take it.
Take pictures.
I'm not saying that I'm saying that it feels like the select board needs to come forward and say, we are supportive of doing something with this building. Right now it's 3.2 million.
Yep.
But there has to be some sort of support instead of just saying, you know, we have one who's definitely for it, one who's definitely against it, and then we have someone who wants the town to vote, right? Just, this is what I'm seeing.
Sitting right on the middle of the fence.
That doesn't mean
Yeah.
that the select board supports it.
That's right.
So.
That's correct.
Just like the FinCom, the CPC,
Yeah.
that people look at them and say, hey, they've done a little bit more due diligence than I have, like, there has to be that support. And this is to get to talking about 650 or 760, even if we had $1 million, it's not gonna do what people are portraying is gonna be done to that building until we do
This
the
is,
3.2 or whatever that number is. And that isn't a finished product.
No,
It's not gonna definitely be an arts center, like, there's so many things that have to be clarified so people hear it, it has to be said over and over.
Yeah.
Because it's just not reality.
and I mean,
It's a lot of money to be spending for something that's not reality, that's my only point. If we wanna say, select board supports that, we wanna put historical society there, we're gonna do other things that are there, we're gonna make that like another municipal building, that's a completely different ballgame and conversation. Of course, everyone wants that building to stay there. It's part of the center of town, right? Anyone who's lived there for a number of years, that's part of, it's like this building, right? Everyone knows it. You mentioned Holy Angels, everyone knows where that is. But that isn't what we're talking about, right? It's just, we need more definitive stuff. So it's an easy conversation. Right now, it's not an easy conversation. For a finance committee, that 650 could be used somewhere else if this building doesn't go forward, right? Or it is going forward and we have to figure out how to fund it, which is how Kenny can help us, so.
You probably passed out by now.
yeah, okay, why don't we get Mr. Costa's opinion?
Good evening, Kenny, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes, thank you.
You listening to all the fun we're having?
I can hear.
Good news, you get to join the fun.
Always.
Can you make it big?
Yeah, can you take us down and put Kenny in the middle?
Make you a superstar.
Yeah, there you go. They're gonna see you and not us, which is a good thing.
Thought it was an easy question.
Yeah,
Schools are-
Yeah.
okay.
So Kenny, while he's doing that, what we're kicking around here is the thought of,
There we go.
and of course, you know that the original thought was that the 3.187 estimate that we have for Holy Angels, we were gonna be seeking some assistance from CPC to get the project going, and hire an OPM and an engineer, and maybe do a little bit of work going after the remainder of the balance in the spring. And the board is considering a different avenue now, and considering going for the entire amount. I think it would be beneficial to have an understanding, especially with Mr. Panko in the audience, for CPC's edification, what exactly, if we're looking at a borrow,
Yeah.
what exactly is the note payment gonna be for that? And it
Yeah.
sounds like it's probably not gonna be that far off from town hall.
No, actually, it's, I was just looking at that right now. So for example, in fiscal year 26, the payment is, just under 270,000. And the last debt service payment will be in 2034. And then I was just running the numbers. So let's see. Were we looking at 3.3 million, like 3,390,000? And looking at a 20-year payback, we're looking about the same amount. So the amount that we're paying now, that would be added on, that would be about 264,000. So what we're paying now in fiscal year 26 is what would be the projected debt service payment for 20 years. So essentially we'd be doubling up the payment.
And could that potentially come out of CPC, or you're talking about that coming out of?
Is that on someone's tax?
Yeah,
CPC.
okay.
CPC is what I would be.
Town hall, it's not mentioned.
We're not talking about the town hall and the debt service for town hall, Kenny. We're talking about changing the Holy Angels article. Instead of asking for 650 from CPC, what if we were to go to town meeting floor and ask for the 3.2 million? How would that affect the average taxpayer? Because CPC cannot pay for the whole thing. Am I correct?
You need a debt override.
We need an override, I believe.
Right, so the CPC portion, that amount, I mean, that would need to be approved at town meeting. And that could come from, CPC, obviously with a favorable recommendation from the committee. The general fund portion that, could, depending on the amount, that could need a debt exclusion and override to fund that. But what I was trying to do is just trying to give you what we would pay for the 3.3 million.
And where's the 3.3 million? I thought it was 3.2 million.
Is it 3.2?
All Kenny's doing is saying that the 3.3 is too.
Oh, I see, it's close.
I just want to make sure you guys know that if we voted for town hall and that, it'd be 520. I just wanted to make sure we were.
Right, it would be both. It's right, it would be both. Go ahead, Mike.
Mike, please.
Yeah. Well, the CPC can only bond against the local revenue. So I believe, we're currently bonding for this building, like 270 or something a year. I don't think there's enough local revenue to bond both repairs to town hall and the church. You'd have to do one or the other,
Yeah.
and then the other would have to be through different funding mechanisms. Again, it's, I think the local revenue, last year and the last couple of years was around $600,000. So that's how much you can spend on bonding. You can't spend any more than that. Town council needs to look at that, that's my opinion. So I don't think you can bond all three projects.
All three, right?
Okay. Steve?
Using.
Okay. Steve?
Just one thing, if I misspoke, I'm not saying you guys should put the 3.2 forward. I'm saying that if you put the 650, then there's the select board support for the 3.2. So 650 is gonna give us another number. Right, eventually the 25% design is gonna say, we gave you 3.2, but now the OPM and the design say it's gonna be something else. Now we have another number. So that's 650 or 760, it starts, but there's support. But right now, there's,
But I think what I've said all along is people have to understand, if we spend 650, we're committing to the 3.2, 3.3.
We have to
I
make
mean,
that.
that has to be abundantly
We
clear.
have to make that clear, but we also have to recognize that that is a very common thing that happened. We did it with the community center, we did it with this building, we do it with any large undertaking that you do. It's like you have to go through these sort of stage gates of investment. You don't just do it all at once. So we just have to make sure that we are clear with people that says, hey, look it, there's a $3.2 million investment to be made. We're asking for $650,000 to do this. Between now and town meeting, if we put $650,000 on the warrant in November, there's no way that that's not going to include work. There's no way that we can go and say, we're going to put together another freaking plan. I will, it's not going to on my dead body. So
But
we've
that's
gotta figure
essentially
out-
what we're talking about
It's not
because it's
what-
only doing the OPM.
we
Am I
need to
correct?
We need to change that because that was just an arbitrary decision.
yeah, there's work that will be done, but it's not, you're not getting the button up version. That's what I.
No, it's,
Your
you're
OPM,
starting.
Design
but-
engineer is like $200,000, $100,000.
It's not as much as you think, because you're only carrying them for a short duration.
But wait a minute, am I correct in saying that the problem with Holy Angels is it needs such extensive work? We can't go in. The reason it wasn't painted was because
Right.
the whole the community center needs to come off. No sense in painting it and ripping it off. The issue with Holy Angels, it's so extensive.
Yeah.
What I don't want the town to do is fix the roof and then come to find out when the sheathing comes off, we have to adjust the roof. We can't keep putting Band-Aids on gaping holes.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. Structurally, we need to do
Right.
all of it. We need to do all of the 3.2. We can't save it for 650. We can't save it for $1 million. We can't, that's what I'm saying. The 3.2 is the envelope to preserve this building. So in 2 years, if we walk in, it looks like it was finished. That's the true ask. We can't,
You don't have to ask for. all
but
of that.
650 isn't, no, but 650 is not gonna make a dent in any type of repair for that
But-
building.
But
It's gonna take the handicap ramp off. It's gonna remove the oil tank.
That would have to be up to the engineer.
Right.
The work that made the most sense, that was the most cost effective.
Yes. So if I can just summarize this.
Yeah.
This 760, whatever, 650 plus the money we were looking to transfer, that is gonna give you an engineer design, 25% design. The engineer, we're then gonna give him, we're gonna say, hey, you guys have this run rate of June, and you have, this is gonna leave you this amount of money. We need you to prioritize your things
Right.
and tell us what can get done there.
That's
So we
right.
can't even say what's gonna get done. So this-
No, we can't.
Well, we-
Which I think is
we need to-
CPC's
we need to
hang up.
Figure that out. Talked about that 6 weeks ago, so someone needs to come back with an answer.
Lori?
My understanding is, as you said, Dennis, the OPM and the 25% is a certain amount, that's not as big as we work for, because it's just a certain finite amount of time. But that the rest of the money, this is, I'm confused by how it went from 200,000 to 650,000.
It was never 200,000.
Well, when
It's
it's
a-
talking about the
Initially.
OPM of 25% design, I understand it's even quite a bit less than that.
Yeah, you wouldn't, if you just wanted to get the OPM and the engineer on board, you could do it for a couple of $100,000 is enough to get them a contract and head for the 5% design before you get the next mark of the July 1st funding coming from the construction project. Now you're gonna finish their contract and they'll keep going.
But we're talking about a July 1st construction, but we're gonna have to come back to the town in May and say, okay, this is where the rubber hits the road. We need 3.2. Where's the 3.2 coming? It's coming off of our taxes, if I'm not correct. Kenny?
If I could, so I was just looking at what CPC, what the revenue that comes in. So as I mentioned, there's about $270,000 of debt service that we're paying on City Hall, sorry, on Town Hall. So the remaining amount would be about $400,000. So if we were looking to borrow the Town Hall project and the Holy Angels project, there's not enough money. And if we're tying up all this money, then we're not able to do other projects as well. That's another thing to consider. We talked about that at the workshop. If you're tying up all these funds, then the other projects, we won't be able to, to do those. So right now I'm looking at, annually, just as an estimate, there's about $400,000 left that's available after the reserves. So, if we're tying that up with debt service, we won't be able, and right now I don't see that there would be enough available annually as far as revenues to take care of the debt service for both projects. I don't see that being feasible.
What's your feeling on doing one or the other? Not necessarily which one, but doing one, funding one of them from CPC.
I mean, my recommendation would be if the CPC, if we can afford it now. I mean, the town hall. I mean, it just depends on which one is more of a priority than the other. I mean, if we have to do one, the town hall one for 3.390. I mean, that I would recommend to do that out of debt service, and then the Holy Angels. It sounds like it may have to be a mix between the general fund and CPC. So I think maybe, doing one as a full and the other one maybe looking at as a hybrid, but I'm not sure as far as the priority wise, which one is more of a priority than the other.
And maybe if clearly the town hall is a high priority in terms of absolutely, like, you've just got to take care of it. The Holy Angels isn't getting any better. Is there, if we spent the 650, if we figured out what the priorities are, what the actual work is that can get done. So when people ask, we can say, these are the things that are going to get repaired with this money. And this is just one small step out of a $3.2 million vote process. And we can explain that to people, then let them decide and let them vote.
I mean, could we take the Holy Angels? Could that be a multi-phase approach? Would that work over multiple years? Or does this all need to be done in one, construction season?
Because, may I?
Yes, please.
Because Ken, procurement law like that. Because we already went out and solicited pricing for a goal and came up with $3.2 million. If that's the goal we're going to achieve, we have to hire an OPM and we have to bring on an engineer. If we split it up and we do it over piecemeal, it's going to be bid splitting.
Can't do that.
No.
Can't do that. None of us look good in orange.
Cheap approach, I think is what you're saying.
But, I'm thinking my wheels are spinning. But there actually may be, I think that there is actually a way that you could do that in a phased approach and do so much. You're not going to get around the OPM now, but you could do it in a phased approach, yes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe doing the 600,000 as phase one, and then after that, come back and look, like I said, what could be done in phase two.
Stabilization.
Through the chair,
Yes, please.
if to do a phased project, now how would you go out to bid for that? You can't split the bid.
No. But you will have satisfied you'll satisfy 149.7C by getting your OPM and your engineer on board. What you have to be careful of is bidding out the phases, but you can do that in pieces.
Yes.
To satisfy the law.
Yes, you can, but you have to be awful careful.
I'm very careful to find middle name.
I know.
You're
But that
not gonna
is
stay with us forever. We have somebody new coming. Mr. Flaherty.
Either to Kenny or Dennis or somebody, if you take the spaced approach and you say 650 that we've talked about, and then you're gonna take another number, let's say 2 million. happens if the 650 or 650 passes and the 2 million fails?
Millennial.
650 just went by the boards.
Well, we don't know if CPC is gonna fund the 650. Yeah, we won't know that till tomorrow. Yeah, hey, anything's possible.
We could do this all.
Lori,
You guys get the best here, what do you think we're gonna do? That'd be something.
I appreciate the personal comment, thank you.
So the 650,000 is the OPM and 25% design, and the rest of it was to fill the building to get.
you can't seal the
Can't seal the
building.
building.
And I think there's about 150,000 already been funded for painting and some ceiling fixed.
In the article itself, you see that there's language to reuse the article from 2023, Article 8. But the problem is I went and researched that, and found out that we made a motion in that article, the subsequent article, that any money that was left over from ARPA, remember, we used ARPA for the Racine,
Yep.
anything that was left over was to go to the Grove Street Bridge. So that Racine money was not there, just the Home Angels money is there.
That's 162.
Excuse me?
It's only 62.
Okay.
650 plus 62.
So it's 712.
Getting good, isn't she?
Can't do math. I can do money though.
Because I just heard from today, it does feel like a lot of money, but if we are able to do that, no matter who goes in there, now it's more viable in terms of what I know it has to go out to bid again, no matter what. And now if you do that work, it's more viable for anybody who wants to come in. And if we are able to get 3.3 million in the end, it does include accessibility. That is part.
No, it does
No,
not. It does not.
Nope.
Does not.
It does not, because we don't have a
Just-
definitive
it
answer on
didn't
parking.
include parking,
Part of
but it did
is-
include
is
accessibility.
it money for accessibility, is it disability?
The issue, I believe, and Lynn can correct me if I'm wrong, because she's the expert. We don't, because of the rotary or the roundabout or whatever we'd like to call it, there is no on-street parking. You need to have handicap parking within 100 feet.
Yes, and.
There is none.
Council has a plan which has been approved, which is gonna be rolling out when we get an engineer that finalizes the parking lot besides the restaurants, there's more parking behind the arcade building, and so I think that's gonna be.
But the problem is you don't have, the Art Thompson block owns all of that. You don't have a right of way. You need to purchase it, and that's not a fait accompli. They own the Thompson block owns right into the middle of the
Also the-
river.
yeah.
They have riparian rights.
You know, so I know it's here.
Lynn,
You'd have to have a variance, but you'd have to have several variances from the Architectural Access Board in order to achieve this. So you would, and at different entrance points, you would need accessible parking. So the front of the building, 100 feet, when you make a parking lot to the rear, 100 feet, you'll have to have accessibility there to get into the building. And I just want to point it out so that we factor in, like, yes, I would love to see this all come to fruition. But there's moving parts to this, that when you go to explain that this is the 650,000 for the design, the OP and all that, it's gonna lead to the 3.2 million, which is going to lead to, we're gonna have to take a step further, purchase whatever availability for parking, because it doesn't look like any type of shared parking with a variance, it's too far away from where we're trying to get to.
But everyone's making an assumption that you can't use that parking that's there next to the building because the grade's too steep.
By the Thompsons.
No, I'm talking about the GAR lot. I'm talking about the GAR lot.
Too
The parking
steep.
that's there. I know people are saying it's too steep, but I think that's an assumption. I think that you have to look at it and say, hey, look at, we've got this building. It's in a very unique spot. It's in an old historic New England village, town, community, and you're stuck with what you've got and we have to put in this state road. And so, you know what, we're going to give you a little bit of flexibility here. It's not ideal, But you know what? It's gonna be good enough because you're gonna be able to give people that need access so they can get into the building. Once they're in the building, they can get around and do everything they want. It's a fully accessible building. You've got these parking spots right now where the folks used to park before. That's what those spots were used previously. So, you know, those parking spots are there. Is it easy? Is it a slam dunk? Do we know that that's the answer? No, but I don't think we know that it's not the answer.
We know it's not the answer. 521 CMR, building codes of the state of Massachusetts, 2%.
Percent grade.
52123, Dennis will, again, back me up, you can look it right up. 2% grade, so you're not gonna use that down.
Dennis, is there any chance that you could ever put handicap parking spots next to that building?
Yes, but you'd have to probably build a retaining wall so that you could raise it level it enough. So you could get your 2% cross pitch and 2%, maybe you couldn't have more than that in either direction. And what I don't know is that if you have enough room to get the number of parking spaces you would need.
And you need Concom because you're putting, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff.
So
But my point is, you see my point.
I see your point, but I'm trying to make a point as well. We know all the things you're up against when you get to town hall. This meeting was to be non-argumentative, can't do it. These are the challenges we're facing to do it. Everybody be aware of that the 3 million doesn't get it. And 184K for accessibility doesn't include everything. That's.
I mean, 3.2 million, we're very clear about a lot of what 3.2 million gets us. So like, we're like, this is, you know, we talk about like we have unknown things and I get that, right? But it's like the parking is like a dangling participle. It's an important one, right? But the 3.2 million gets us 90% of the way there, right?
Parking downtown here that they have in Westminster.
It doesn't matter, Lori, it's not acceptable and that's the law.
Yeah.
We have it here, they're talking about behind.
You can-
So if we went,
Before I ask the student for what else would be needed, because that 90% number seems highly aggressive. I'm not trying to just.
No, I understand.
Do we know? Because I'm not.
What else is needed
it was
for one
90%.
What's needed for one?
So if we do the 3.2 as they say,
Yeah.
what else would be needed to make it someplace for someone to actually inhabit or?
access. To
So the
access it.
retaining wall, the driveway, is that what you're?
I know, think of it this way, rough numbers, right? If it's 3.2 million, that's $320,000 for chairs and partitions and office walls.
Is that all that's needed?
Lighting,
No.
carpet. On the venue, if you may or may not have a sufficient electrical and plumbing and in the building and HVAC, because there's criteria figured at least enough HVAC to be able to maintain the building's humidity and keep moisture out. Depending on what you have in there, you may require more.
Did they assume a commercial kitchen for the power? I assume so, since we were talking about it so much. Hope so, but we want to confirm that. But,
No, I'm really asking that. Wasn't to dispute it.
yeah, no, there's,
No.
Serious.
we don't know.
And like I said, this is tonight's exercise. See what's gonna come up on the floor of town meeting.
Why can't they go to a site plan review and find out where the parking is gonna be? I don't understand why nobody wants to go to the planning board.
You need the design.
Yeah, I think they would look for I think if the select board told anybody to do anything, they would do it. I don't think that people are sitting around fearful of doing something or not wanting to go to the planning board. I think they're looking to us for guidance and leadership and clarity and vision of what we want this town to be.
Then that's something we should have done a while before and have that all done now, and we wouldn't be questioning.
We've had this conversation for a year and a half. We've all sat here, the three of us have agreed, we want to preserve the building. So,
I'm not saying I don't want to preserve the building. I just think it's the cart before the horse, as Steve said. Do your due diligence.
So Dennis, would it be feasible? I mean, at this point, what's another, we're in November, another 5 months will be in May. Would this, if we went before the planning board, would they determine the parking situation? No,
You don't have a plan.
we don't have a
No,
plan.
well, that's the other problem.
You need the engineer to create the plan.
So we,
Engineer says the building's gonna be used for this. and it's gonna house this many people, it needs this much parking, they apply to the planning board for
And we don't know that yet.
without having that information.
So there's no way we can get a site plan review because we don't know what we're doing. Is that correct?
You don't have a site plan.
Right, because we don't know what the end use is going to be.
Nope.
Lori?
My way is thinking, and if we can get the building to a point where the mold doesn't continue, we can get everything sealed up. I think there's a lot of other things going on in town. There's a surprise with the town hall. DPW has been waiting for a long time to get their work done. That I know they can't get from CBC. If we could just get it sealed up so things aren't getting worse, I think we could put off.
That's the 3.2 million.
I think, we don't need, doesn't have to be May. It could be future as long as we can stop the damage.
Well, that's what we've said. It's like putting a Band-Aid on the Grand Canyon.
But
We can't, no, seriously, Lori, we can't, 650 doesn't stop anything. It's 3.2 to stop the building. You can't build without meeting code. You can't fix anything without meeting code.
Yeah, there's so much that thing identified issues. You've got the assembly part of it, which is the first floor. So the first floor needs to be redesigned and reconstructed. You have a current roof that doesn't meet today's snow loading plans. Plus, it doesn't have the proper flashing on it or snow and ice shield. So the whole roof's gonna come off, and any rock that's on that's gonna get replaced. It's gonna get a new snow and ice shield. All the flashing is gonna be done around all of the facade, other than the roof itself. The whole, what is it, steeple needs to be sealed. All the glass around it has to be sealed. You have the whole outside of the building that's gotta come off. You gotta replace about, what they say, 7-8 feet down, where it's rotted off. Those boards have to be pulled off, replaced. Then you can put the outside back on, sandblast it or scrape it, prime it and paint it. You got a sill that needs to be replaced in the basement. Now to keep the building, that's good, we did all this work, but if you want the building to be stable, so that you can take some time and think about that, you're gonna have to at least put rough electrical and rough plumbing and some insulation in it. And a rough HVAC system to keep it from getting moisture in it.
So what above the other 25%?
That's your $3.2 million. That's what this board asked Criterion to do.
Right, but the 650, what is the extra of that above?
Right.
that?
Couldn't tell you. Not an architect.
Oh. Guess I thought that was good.
I will tell you this.
No,
This is
unfortunately,
something
no.
that you should consider. So when the engineer is hired, they're not gonna take Criterion's report and run with it.
Right.
Because they have to do their own investigation. Or they're gonna make the town sign a waiver saying that we'll hang our hat on Criterion's report. And if anything comes up different than that, we have to go after Criterion. We can't go after them. So certain amount, and there's no way around it, a certain amount of work that Criterion did is going to get duplicated by the engineer to prove to themselves that certain conditions exist the way Criterion says they exist. So some of that money is going to immediately go into that investigation, cutting holes in walls, taking coupons out, sampling stuff. That's something you can't avoid.
Mr. Flaherty.
Back to, Kenny's been sitting here very patiently, and he's given his recommendation as to how this should be paid for. Now, how this is paid for, I'm sure, plays an important part in how the board is going to decide how to go forward with this. He's already said you can't use CPA.
Right.
The CPA will.
If we do 650, you can do CPC.
You
You can't do the whole bar.
Bunyan said that it won't support the town hall, which I believe he thought was more.
He said it won't support.
Higher priority than the whole area.
He said it won't support fully funding both projects from CPC.
Okay.
Kenny, the way this town,
That having
It's a
been
bar.
said,
Yeah.
I should plan on.
yeah, Kenny, the question, Mr. Flaherty raises a very important question. I don't know if you can hear.
Go back
Hear
to, do we
him.
want to fund it? Let's hear the board say, do we even want to fund the $3.2 million? Because if the answer is no, we are absolutely wasting everybody's time,
Yeah,
right? So do we want to spend the $3.2 million?
I'd like to ask Kenny one question.
go ahead.
The way to fund it would be, I thought I heard you say with the debt exclusion and general fund taxes. Is that, was that clear?
So the 3.2, I would say it would need to be a debt exclusion, it would need to be an override in order to fund this. I just don't see that we have enough in the CPA budget to cover both town hall renovations and the Holy Angel, both of the projects.
So are we up for a debt exclusion? How that affects the taxes.
Are there other alternatives to fund it that we, because originally, right, we had said we'll do the CPC, and part of what we're going to do is pursue other grants and other potential funding opportunities and things like that, right? So these kinds of projects require creativity. So that was part of what us investing this amount of money allowed us to do, would be to say, hey, clearly we're serious, we're continuing down the path, we're making progress. Now we need to go after some of these other funding sources, because we're not doing a debt exclusion for this. I'm not going to go to town meeting for an override to pay for Holy Angels.
But you're also not guaranteed grants or anything.
Totally not.
No, so you're taking a
There's-
chance on that too.
There's risk, right? We're sitting on a pile of risk, right?
So other options, 650 goes through, you have 62, that's 712. That's the 3.2, you're at 2.5, so stabilization, free cash, and those are other options.
Right.
You go for a borrow.
Chisel at some of those.
The other thing that happens when you start taking it out of the stabilization, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kenny, is it could be a downturn on your credit rating. And that, then you get so you pay the interest.
It's not, we're just making the point that an override is not the only way to. fund
No, it isn't, but you don't want to do detrimental things for the town either.
Correct, and SCP would be looking at how would you replenish those reserves as well.
Right.
Right, part of that conversation would be how are we going to replenish, right? And build
Yeah.
back the way we did with the fiscal policy several years ago.
Correct.
Better have a good plan too.
Mike, you know, sense there from, I know there was a couple of people, I know there was one that was pretty much a no, but what do you think? Yeah.
Well, I really can't.
I'm not asking you to use a crystal ball, but can you?
But he's asking you to use your crystal ball, Mike.
Reluctant to tell you how the CPC is going to develop. I mean, I personally will vote this project. I think it's important for the town center, aesthetics. I think if you build it, a use will be found. 10 years from now, the town will be glad it did. But probably the most outspoken person, who is questioning this expenditure, probably could be brought on board more likely if some of the funds that went towards beginning to remediate, rather than just the OPM and the engineer. I think some funding could start to address maybe the most critical problems. That would probably help sway that person. I have no idea how that person will vote, but and most of the rest of the people in the committee are fairly silent, so that can't help it.
But yeah, we can't, I feel like we're going in a circle because we can't determine until we hire the OPM, the engineer, whether or not any of that 650 would be feasibly applied to securing the envelope, shall we say.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I remember a couple of months ago when we were having this conversation, and we had the initial conversations about the 200 versus the 650 versus OPM, you made it absolutely clear that nobody's going to go into that building until you get the asbestos out, get the lead out, get everything remediated, get everything cleaned, like sort of cleaned up from an environmental hazard perspective or a hazmat perspective.
But not.
And that was going to be the first thing that we were going to do.
I think that they will do some of the remediation simply because they're gonna spend some time in the building, but they won't go after all. They'll just do a little bit. What they absolutely have to do that has them the most nervous, or if they hire a subcontractor, they have it in their contract.
Right.
They won't go in there at this.
Is there a way that we can go to that list that we got and just say like, okay, we're gonna earmark, because to me, 650 is much more, the 710 is much more than what we had originally thought we were gonna be asking for. And so can't we say 200 of that is for the OPM and design and the rest of it needs to be for actual work? And if we are, and here's what the actual work will be. It doesn't have to be a detailed itemized list, but like $400,000, this is what we're gonna do. I really can't imagine what we
With
do that.
$100 donuts that you could get engineer and an OPM to sit down with us, and we have them both under contract in town on other jobs, to sit down with us and give us a pretty good idea of what are the first items they're gonna have to go after,
Yeah.
logically, logistically, to make that building.
Right. And with the amount of money that is.
Yeah,
gonna be-
absolutely. The problem I have is I don't know how fast I can get that.
So the problem is once again, we're 3 weeks from town meeting. And we're not gonna have an answer.
And what is our plan for them?
And the problem is once we commit to the 650, we're committing to the 3.2.
I think we would have the answer.
And the
before.
3.2 is gonna have to come out of a debt exclusion for the most part, at least a portion of it. Am I correct in what I'm hearing, Kenny?
Correct.
Well, how is that correct if we couldn't use free cash or stabilization or capital reserve?
But if we use those, then we damage our S&P rating and then everything else in life gets more expensive because you have to remember, we're also looking at a DPW building. That's a lot of money. And I don't want to damage our S&P rating and pay a higher interest rate because DPW affects each and every resident. We all drive the roads and walk the sidewalks. Water, sewer,
Here where you're coming from.
so I don't, it's like balancing your house budget. You might want to eat prime rib, but if all you get is tofu, you get tofu or peanut butter, that's my concern. Kenny, if we took it out of free cash, would it? Because it looks like, correct me if I'm wrong, but Article 2 DPW is going to be a debt exclusion, correct?
Correct. Yeah,
And if
definitely.
we take this, if we were to take the if we took 2.5 out of stabilization and free cash, we're damaging our S&P rating. Am I correct?
I would say more on the stabilization. I think on the free cash, if we did that over multiple years, I think that would be okay. Obviously not, 3.2 in 1 year, but if maybe we did $1 million, or something like in that ballpark over a couple of years, I think that would be more manageable.
But if we end up doing $1 million over multiple years, they're not buttoning up the envelope and then the damage is continuing. Because we're still getting water infiltration. We have not achieved our goal.
Yep. It's a tough one to balance.
It is. It's very difficult to balance. Mr. Flaherty.
Historically, in the last few years, we were using free cash to buy capital equipment, i.e. trucks, loaders, things like that. So if you're spending your free cash there, you're not gonna have it to buy this stuff that you're gonna have to spend money on going forward.
Yep.
You only spend it once.
Yep. Just because we have checks does not mean we have money. Tell my kid that all the time. He hasn't got that yet. Because he doesn't know what a check is. Move the question. Move the question. All right. And we haven't even addressed Article 2, which is DPW funding.
Yeah,
Yeah. DPW funding is going to be a big one. Am I correct, Kenny?
Yes, that is correct. My
I'm going
understanding,
to put 3 on hold. I'm going to put Holy Angels on hold because I want to hear the numbers. I've heard some numbers for Article 2, but I'd like to hear them from you, please.
yes. So my understanding, there's a range between 28 million and 33 million for the project. So looking at, I guess I'll give you worst case scenario first. 33 million, I'm estimating about 4.5 on interest rate, a 25-year payback. So an annual debt service, that would be about 2,250,000 annually for 25 years. And perhaps, would you like me to share this on the screen? Would that help?
It may.
Are you able to see my screen?
See it, I can't read it. There's a difference.
Is that better?
Yeah.
So the 33 million, that's the first estimate that I ran. Interest rate of 4.5, 25 year.
Like them at the movies.
And Kenny,
Yes.
for the board's knowledge, we didn't consider any money from any other sources such as leftover funding from the construction of the community center, nor did we consider any subsidy from water and wastewater.
Okay.
I'm not sure, I may be missing, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So that's why it's the worst case scenario, because it's an interest rate that we feel is probably going to be, it's going to improve more than that, but nobody has a crystal ball. All indications certainly suggest that the interest rate's probably going to get a little better than that.
But
Yeah.
their top number is 33 million.
Yes, it is. And that's the highest number that the engineers gave us when they gave us the rate, which is why it's there.
Remember when it was 15 million? Oh, you remember that? That might have been.
I do,
before your
that's-
time.
Just,
And we said that's way too much. Come back to us with a phase recommendation.
yeah.
I don't know.
Could I ask Kenny a question?
Yes, please.
Kenny, do you ever do declining debt?
So I could do like level principal, but then that would be a larger payment up front.
Yeah, but that's only for 2 or 3 years and then you reduce interest drastically after that.
Right. So I figured just for this purpose, I was thinking of doing, actually, let's take a look to see what that would be. Yeah. I mean, we could do level principal. I mean, it could be a little bit, less, but, we could, but I was thinking of doing level debt service, just so then it's the same amount each year. So there's not a big, swing on the rate. But yeah, it's something.
That's like a mortgage. You pay
Right.
all the interest up
Yep.
front, correct?
Correct. So that's why I was thinking doing a, level debt service is just easier to project out for the next 25 years. But once we do come time to borrow, we could look at that. But for this exercise, for me to give you a good estimate of what it would be, I did choose the level debt service, as you mentioned, just do it as a mortgage just for this exercise. But like you said, if we did do the other, it would be more interest up front. So looking at,
Yeah, it'd be more interest, yeah, for the first 2 or 3 years.
All right, so what would this debt exclusion, how would that impact the average person's tax bill per year?
so I'm not sure if you're able to see, I don't know if it switched over.
Didn't switch over here on our screen.
Were you able to, can you see the different projected payments? So
No.
No,
okay, let me pull that up.
I know.
So anytime they put something up, I feel like I'm at the eye doctor. I think it's Nate.
we're in.
I really do. I don't think I have problems to like getting these TVs.
It's bad when you learn the letters that all look the same. You're like,
Yeah.
no,
I keep telling them they have to
D.
change the font.
D.
Why is your C have such a little space?
yeah, exactly.
So looking at, with the 2.2,
There we
2
go.
million.
I've been making it way bigger, but we can see it now. Oh, now we're cooking on gas.
Yeah, it's based on this year's.
Wow.
So looking at a $500,000 property value, with the 25 tax rate being $13.15 per thousand, it would be $6,575 in fiscal year 25. The projected tax bill would be $7,165. So the increase would be $590 annually. A $750,000 value, assessed property value, the increase would be $885. On $1 million assessed property value, that would be would be $1,180 annually, and that would be a $1.18 added to the tax rate, which would be 9%. Again, that would be based on the $33 million project.
And the vast majority of houses in town are probably closer to 775 than 500.
Yeah. But I just tried to give you a little bit of a, just looking at those 3 levels and just to kind of see what the average would be. If we were looking at 28 million, I don't know if you're able to see this. So 28 million, that was the projected amount for the DPW facility. Annual debt service would be 1,767,000. We're looking at increased tax rate of 7.1%, a $500,000 assessed property value. The increase would be 465. 750 would be just under $700. 1 million would be $930 on an average. So it's significant. I think either way, looking at it, the one for the 28 million projection, I did project 3.75 for an interest rate. Again, that would, we wouldn't borrow probably for a year or two. So the feds are looking at maybe a couple of interest rate cuts this year. So interest rates could improve. So it's really hard to project interest rates and where they'll be in the next year or two.
Kenny, could you populate that to the finance committee and the board as well, so we can see that?
Yep. And again, this is just projected.
Not include the school.
No.
Exactly.
Stuff that we just did.
It doesn't include the $30 million we just approved for the school.
Other-
No, well, it's 15,000, 15 million. I wish it was 15,000, 15 million.
So,
Excuse me, Lynn? But no, okay, and if you talk, because I didn't quite hear you.
through the chair.
Yeah.
But we're up, everything we're up against. And when's this gonna hit?
Are there increases from today that are already baked into the budget that we've spent that are gonna show up in addition to what those numbers are that you're using as a baseline?
And we have to realize too, that the cost of houses has gone up, which means your assessment's gonna go up next year. These are 2025 numbers.
Actually, the 2023.
Exactly, that's what made those. That hospital.
It is true. Yeah,
I think you could safely assume that the school would be half of what that increase was.
I think so. I think it would be a reasonable assumption. Yeah.
Although the school might be 30 years, you did 25, Kim, is that right?
Yeah,
Yes, correct.
School 30, but
they'd be
I don't remember.
better if they were 30, even, we should
Did we
take a look at 32 for the DPW.
Yeah, Kenny, what if you projected it out to 30? Does it drastically change those numbers instead of 25?
Let's see. So in the 33 million, it went from, now it's just a little bit over 2 million. Let's see. And then on the 28 million to go 30 years, it went from 1.7 to like 1,585,000, just under 1.6 million. Let's see.
And then if we can just have, the increase in the tax bills, I think that's difference in the numbers.
School budget thing. I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna be looking for another million, million and a half. Steve, is that reasonable?
I don't know.
What you got from Jay?
Yeah, I mean, he expects to be an increase for sure. Jay Meyer.
Yep, I know who he is. And yeah, I mean, these are always the unknowns, just like living in your house in the furnace, let's go.
And the school, last week in January, when the house budget comes up, and the county's budget comes up.
Right.
He's looking a little sure.
I know. I look up like that, I get vertigo, so I can't look up too long. It's kind of a passing. See if they're up there yet.
So,
Fourteen articles, but only took 3 of them to suck the air out of them.
Two are really sucking it out of the room.
It's never happened when Joe's the town manager.
Well done, good job, good job. We needed that.
I did not
Wake
need
us up with a
that.
chuckle. Everybody's like.
Wait till you ask me for something.
Yeah.
Steve, you wait till that plow goes by your driveway this winter. At least we're all still laughing.
Yeah.
If we weren't laughing, we'd be crying.
Oh,
He's thinking about what he can do to you.
yeah, so rather a 7% increase on the 28 million, it would be a 6.3% increase in 83 cents. On a $500,000 home, it would be $4.15. 750, 622, 1,830,000. Sorry, I needed to go to the state's website and do the options table to project it. So $13.15 to $13.98. And again, 6.3% increase on the rate, 83 cents would be added to the tax rate. And obviously the 33 million scenario would be a lot more. This would be best case.
Sure. I mean, we're not gonna hold you to them, but I'm just wondering, you know, you broke them down, how much more each tax bill would be. Could you do that again for the 30 years? I think is what we're looking for.
Right, and
So
that's what I
you-
did. I did that for so under the $28 million scenario,
Yeah,
it would be $415 for a $500,000 property, $622.50 on a $750, and $830 on a $1 million property.
so there's really not a substantial difference.
No,
I mean,
no,
Not really,
It's
not that,
it's less than 1%.
not if you voted.
right. But still, I mean, economies of scale, it's still gonna hurt.
Correct,
It's gonna drive people out of town.
still significant.
There's no way this. It's a huge change.
Massive. And oh, we're all having so much fun. Everybody looks so incredibly happy from up here. I just can't tell you. And we probably have the same look on our face. Oh, yeah, not me. All right.
We
Other questions?
didn't have these numbers before. Having them now, I think that we're going to, when's our next meeting, Paul?
This is next, I believe it's next Wednesday.
We don't have one this week? How do we not have a meeting this week? We have.
Because we're doing every week, so it's got you all screwed up.
If there was, post.
Okay, no, we don't have one. We'll be taking this information back to the committee, so the committee can. take a look at it.
And we will be taking it back to Vertex in Western Sampson tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can help summarize Articles 1, 4, and through 14. You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks, Brett.
It's really just.
Don't forget 12 we
It's 2 and
take.
3. I got a big X.
Yeah, okay.
I did get an email from Mike Antonellis
Mhm.
asking for a slight change. He was at the planning board meeting.
Okay,
And they requested a slight change to Article 9, the zoning board.
The brewery, Michael.
Yeah.
yeah. Steve, I think we all could use a barrel tonight.
Watching your meetings.
Yeah.
We tried it.
I'm gonna send this to the board.
Okay.
This is what he.
I mean, it's probably not gonna change just including it on the.
Okay.
I don't believe so.
Okay,
So
that's
we're,
fine.
so we're at DPW and Holy Angels.
That's what we have left. And, you know, looking at what DPW is going to do, I can't in good faith say, you know, the 3.2 for Holy Angels, it's gonna have to do some type of debt exclusion. Right. You know, yeah, that's what I mean, if we do the TPW, but if it's like, my own thought is we have to do the town hall, we can't not. You know,
Like you-
that's,
Like you said, you'd rather
I
fix this leaking roof than that leaking.
I made a sarcastic comment because you know I'm sarcastic. I said we can only have one leaking building in town at a time.
Right.
And we've got one, so we
Prioritize one,
can't
keep
have
it.
this one. We have to prioritize because we're in this every day. And we
Yeah.
just spent a lot of money on this building that we need to preserve, just like preserving your house. You know, Article 2, DPW, they need a building.
Yes.
They have, you just said it earlier, Brett, we put it off when it was 15 million.
Yeah.
It's it's a lot of money. We put it off again, we're gonna be looking at 60.
I just want to be clear and point out the obvious irony of the
Yes.
fact that we spent so much time talking about
Holy Angel,
$650,000
Yeah.
and $3 million. And this is a $33 million project.
right,
I get it. It's different. They're not apples to apple.
no, well, yeah, because,
Just putting it on there because, oh, you gotta, like, we don't have to do it now. We don't have to do it in one big tranche. Right, there's a lot of things we don't have to do to spend $33 million of taxpayer money. We just spent $30 million or $15 million of taxpayer money on the schools. Great. Right? So we have all of the options before us.
I would like to make a motion that we include Article 2 on the warrant.
do I hear a second on this, or do you agree to include Article 2 on the warrant? Yeah. The DPW,
And I would think that it's going to have to be a majority action.
okay,
I don't have enough information about a $30 million spend right now.
I would agree that, we need a DPW. I'd like to see it go on to the warrant in some fashion. So if we're taking a vote,
You can second.
I second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Majority. That leaves us with Article 3.
I make a motion that we include Holy Angels on the warrant. With no on 12 and no on 3. Otherwise, we're good. No on 12.
You just said no on 12 and no on 3, but you just made a motion to put it on, so,
Yeah,
no?
but it's not getting seconded, so
Okay,
there's only 3 of us here,
okay. Yep,
right?
yeah. I agree.
All right,
All right, so
our work is done. Now,
we have to
Consider.
we have to vote specifically on everything else.
You have to, yeah. Sue gets brought up a point, you have to reconsider.
Reconsider
Article
9.
The zoning.
do the word.
Thanks to what is happened, what Mike sent me. It's a small little insert where the planning board was recommending a change.
Let's see if I can get on, sorry.
Yeah,
So can this have the clarity, 3 is a no by the select?
The motion wasn't seconded.
It's not seconded.
Right.
We want to change N to
Article
be a
let's see, no.
under A. What's
No,
That's
what
not
is
the
are
way.
you kidding me?
what's
Look at.
Oh,
In an agricultural district, they want to put a brewery in an agricultural district?
You do that.
I know.
so that would be. Yeah,
Are you able to?
The language as presented.
Oh, yeah,
They
there was,
want to make the change
Okay.
presented on town meeting.
Okay, so BA stands
I guess
for
what is-
by approval, or what does BA stand for? That's where I'm lost. You don't know, we don't know.
I don't know if I was still here.
But it's not no, so I assume that it means,
Well, I would
Yeah.
say, approve unless if they want,
I think it's
Planning-
under
business.
AR, where is AR?
agricultural residential.
Yes.
We can approve it
Change.
as it was presented tonight, and then they can modify it on town floor, and they can explain
Yep.
the reason for modification, because so that we don't need to
They
recreate the
already
wheel,
have
and none of us
it.
seem to know.
and There's a big difference between a general business district and an agricultural district is like residential district. It's not a
Yes.
business district, it's not a
Yeah.
commercial. I mean,
Yeah, let's, yeah, and you guys. So, all right, so, so I would say we'll approve. If somebody wants to make a specific, as submitted, Art, if somebody wants to make the motion.
I'll
So-
move,
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
I'll move, what?
I'm sorry, what did you?
I'm gonna make a motion to,
Nine.
for the planning board to change the.
No,
Oh,
no,
No,
no. No, we're making a motion to accept the article as presented tonight, not with planning board changes.
Motion to accept. Thank you.
okay, motion to accept
And
As presented in our,
Presented, yeah.
as presented.
in the draft. Okay,
And you already voted on these earlier.
okay, yeah. Okay,
Have everything you need?
Well, can I ask a question?
yes.
So this is funding Holy Angels to annual town meeting?
We could put it, we can bring it back, yeah.
I would, but I think we
Well,
have a lot of work.
you know, or did it just die? Yeah. I mean,
how much would that be?
Yeah.
we'll have a better idea, but right now, we're spending too much. We can't. I can't in good faith think it's in the best interest of the town to do more debt exclusion.